convergence points. And so much of it has to do with technology. AI is a diversion. I've had a sneaking suspicion it would be. A diversion from who you, and certainly I, really are. I'm worn out. I live with killers. And I do. I live with people who have gangbanged and have killed. I do. When I moved into the house last week, 2 weeks ago, and it hasn't gotten to that point. You know what I mean? I'm not that scared. I mean, I'm pretty scared. I'm working on myself. Some people get out and don't do any work on themselves at all. They don't assimilate into society. I'm talking about out of jail, out of prison. Yeah. I forget real quick when I'm in the hood that not everybody's your friend. And people will snap. There's a convergence point happening right now. I haven't checked up on Joe Sky or any of my Schumann people, but nor have I very much been feeling any necessarily super magnetic waves and pulses, electrical charges through my feet, timed, which must mean that there's something very timing-esque about all of this, and the only thing that makes perfect time is stuff that's synthetic. Well, or the Schumann resonance, the crystals, all the quartz crystals. Hi, Jackie. I forgot to even text you. Oh my gosh. I mean, I live with killers and criminals and young thugs in their 20s and 30s and 40s, and violence is their calling card, or intimidation, or bullying, or complete lack of compassion, or self-awareness, and it's quantum. Bunch of big kids, really, myself included. I've been stressed all week. But if I'm not the problem, there's no solution. And I realize what's the most terrifying thing, taking care of financial responsibilities. Got my car all paid up Friday. Took the majority of my first paycheck. And I didn't try to play words with the repo man or the bank. How much do I owe you? Paid it all. I should have, I could have, I would have been like, well, I can pay half, but then I need to pay for the new fob, and then I just paid it all. Now I need to pay rent for this men's group home, and thought about wheeling and dealing my way a little bit. I could pay half of it, but just pay it all. And I realized, wow, life is so much easier when I realize that at the root of all my worry and who's around me and what's going on and the president and bombs and war and the skies and Nibiru, and if anything's that rock underneath the saddle, then I'm the bull bucking around. Not mad at the play clown guys and not mad at the person necessarily on my back. There's this constant nagging. It's me. And that's some Jedi action right there. It really is. I've been working in the steel yard, so I am more than whooped. I'm well down. And a lot of people feel that way too. I mean, if you're at your worst right now, if you're up against the ropes, you are primed for not just your quantum potential, meaning the plans that something has got for you. It just does. My notes are replete. You're going to love this. You're ready for quantum awareness. And that just popped into my head last night. And it'll end up being somebody's thesis next week at Cambridge or Harvard or Yale. Quantum awareness. And it's just like physics. Einstein said physics is spooky things seen at a distance. Well, something is unlocking a lot of your minds right now. I would say almost anyone that sticks and stops, like, whoa, who's this guy? We're on the verge of quantum awareness. And I'm not sure if it's what the powers that be are doing to the sky. The fact that we're all literally chock full of highly magnetic materials now, to where we're transponder receivers. Entanglement. And it's just like the Matrix. It's the relationship between the Oracle and what was the Colonel Sanders looking, what was he called? The architect. You got me stuck. Yin and yang, good and evil. Yesterday, somebody, I don't know who or how, they got into my channel and deleted most of my videos. All those years on the Hill, or in Colorado, or in Michigan, all of that data is gone. All my lives are gone too. All this fantastic information that we compile together, it's all gone. I was bummed. Oh man, I got home from working 13 days straight yesterday. Finally knew that I'd have the weekend, and the convergence began to pinch. This is why this isn't going to be so much about me. This video is going to be a lot about. I'm going to actually be able to get out of my self-absorbed, self, just me, because what I'm talking about right now is the pincher points that have happened throughout many of your lives. You'll be about to take a test to get into a new school, and you just got a new car. Maybe your dad gave it to you, or the church donated it to you, whatever. You worked for it for 3 years, whatever. So the test is coming on Monday. It's Friday night. You got a date with your girl, the new car, a date with your guy, whatever. Everything is set. And all of a sudden, you get a flat tire, and you found out that you've been studying the wrong textbook all semester, whatever the case may be. $1 short and a day late. Those don't just roll along with life. For many of you, and for probably all of humanity, there are pincher points. I'm telling you, we live in a simulation. Pinch points where you didn't study the right chapter for the last 2 weeks, and you know that you're going to have to spend the whole weekend catching up studying. Your girlfriend got sick anyhow, so even if the car hadn't worked, then you never would have gone on that date. A convergence point. Your convergent point people, I'm telling you, we're fulcrum folk. This is atypical of me because I haven't gotten out of my routine. Going live usually my roommate would be asleep though. The convergence negative. I've been so worried around these criminals. I don't care. I hope none of them are watching. One of them might be, but he's white, so he won't. All week I've had to make sure hey man, no, I'm not giving you something, Hey, whoa, I apologize. Sorry, I did not mean to call you the wrong name. I don't know what a rose is, but I'm definitely not trying to treat you like some punk young kid. Nope. We're in a truck together for the next 2 hours with rap music blaring in the front seat about killing people. I think it would be best if I just look out the window and contemplate the Nibi skies. It's been scary. Bro, no way you look like a combination of Jeffrey Epstein and Morgan Freeman. That's what your mom said. I tried to, make sense to her, but no, but I ain't mad at you though. I can't help it that I look like a myriad of people. Depends on your perspective and what you focus on. So if you watch a lot of Jeffrey Epstein and Morgan Freeman, if they're imprinted on your mind, hey, can't help you there. Hi, Marie. Hi, Jake. Yeah. What's up, Jake? Hi, Paul White, folks. Well, last time someone timed me out when we were talking about the Marine. Well, and I apologize. Yesterday somebody got in my channel and wiped away most of my videos, both Sky videos and live videos. There's a lot of injustice going on right now. There really is. And I'm going to say it. And most of my freak moderators, though I'll be handling that soon enough, I don't know, But people who get very passionate, or maybe they're just drunk and being selfish. I notice a lot of times that when somebody compliments me, just a general, really, really like like a composite of the universe type comment of, "Hey man, you got crystal eyes and you remind me of," then those get deleted. I don't know, but they're not here. And please, moderators, don't nuke anybody today. Don't nuke anybody. I don't care if they get on there and say that, well, okay. Jackal, not Jake. Jake. Oh, it's Jack. Jack, not Jake. Oh, sorry, Jack. Like Jack's. Like Jack. Okay. Yeah, cool. I got you. I got you. Hi, Kylie. I thought he looks like the vampire from the cartoon movies. um, so let me just talk. Because people who, all of us, everybody is quantum. I realize that we're all little quantum computation systems running around feeding this this earth shroud of energy that we're pouring ourselves into. We just are. 667. Oh, and that's not some demonic thing. I learned out what it is. What do they call us? Us millennials. We think everything's demons and spooky and AI and stuff. No, 6-7 just means like I'm not going to accept your calls anymore from young people. And who wants that? Every time I drink whiskey, my ass hurts in the morning. Well, that's because alcohol right now is manifesting into spirits, and it's not the alcohol that's evil. It's literally the genetic disposition. It's a human's metabolism and the spooky things in the quantum of our mind that turns the alcohol and the liquor evil. It's not the liquor or the alcohol that the person consumes that got into them and went poltergeist. It's the person and something in their genetic makeup that just does not rock well with alcohol. And not just your mind, obviously, in your case, it's a bit more of an extended symptom range. But whiskey on the bong is no good for anyone. These people who deleted the majority of my beautiful content last night, my artwork, my baby, nobody cares about yesterday's news. Prep Aussie, one of the best sky watchers out there, 10 years ago, he's still doing well, by the way, folks. But he said it years ago. Hey, mate, no reason to get all bent out of shape over yesterday's videos, mate. Right, it's great and all, but sorry, my Australian isn't that good. But no one cares about yesterday's news. I was like, wow. My power isn't in my fantastic footage of the skies. Anybody can go out now and capture the Nemesis Nibiru skies. My power is in my presentation, my particular curiosity, and my quantum potential. Somebody commented yesterday, well, it wasn't yesterday, it was 6 months and longer, because I don't know. The people who deleted my data yesterday, they had to stop deleting it 6 months ago. It must have taken them a lot of time. The desired effect was to destroy a part of my connection with this world and the tangible things in it. I don't really go for much. I laid in this bed yesterday and I watched part of the end of Greenland 2. And I started to just doze into just kind of a depressed sort of victim mentality, because the convergence negative comes at pinch points in your life. It might be when you were about to go vacation and something just threw the whole plans off, a combination of things. We're people who have such power and promise that if one thing goes wrong, we can put that fire out and arrange something else. 2 of them, and we're stretched a little bit, but we'll manage. But those pinch points of the convergence negative that have shaped our lives, almost as if something programmed it in. and something did. No disrespect, but you have a striking resemblance to, uh, I know. A year ago, when people started saying that to me, I would get so offended. I would revert into this absolute monster of a guy with, a lot of potential. His channel's good. I'm new. You just kind of, there's a striking resemblance. I know. And there's one to Obama, and it just depends on the time of day. A little Bill Cosby might get sprinkled in there. A lot of Josina, a lot of The Rock, you know. I used to get, I would just destroy myself. No wonder my channel never goes anywhere. I act like a big baby when I don't get my way. And it's from a lot of trauma and so forth. It's from a lot of, it's one thing when you're an adult and the pincher, it's like wire cutters. It's like pliers. It's like your zipper when you accidentally, No, it's totally fine. Free dude. It's totally fine. It's when people are young that the convergence negative comes. It's when people are children, and there are a very few children, if any, that make it out of youth without having absolutely caught in the vice. Pinched. It's like when you have two objects and come together, they're hard and they pinch your skin. Everybody's been pinched. Very few of us, through that pinching, realize that we've been spending our lives as empaths and with a certain awareness, and oftentimes feeling the pinching and the pinching and the pinching. While we rarely pinch, we have a few times. I'll admit that, and we've pinched hard. Hi, Ale Gonzalez. Yeah, we're all big babies. No, that's fine. The pinch points of childhood shape the man and the woman of later years. And oftentimes people just carry around the pinching when they don't recognize that it got their attention. There was a spark, slightly in reference to Planck's Planck theory, or a spark of such an awareness that your endorphins spiked and your awareness was leapt out into the cosmos and then came back in shortly. People carry that pinching pain around with them. I know a few. And then there are those of us who realize that through the pinching, we tried to squeeze our head through the eye of a pin so that we could become something consistent, something to sew the fabric of our life together again, something that will always continue moving forward, that other energy might flow through it. We keep sewing and stitching, even though our back is hurting and the woes of tomorrow and the pains of yesterday plague our mind, but we're still creating a tapestry, something beautiful. When someone's painting a beautiful picture, there might be the shock of loss or grief or heartache, but they find the joy in the precision of the brush and the canvas and the medium of the different colors, some of which are bright, beautiful, and uplifting, others which remind us not to forget the pinch. Our whole lives trying to squeeze ourselves through the eye of the needle, when what's happening in humanity right now, with, I believe, not necessarily the help, but considering that everything happening right now is inevitable, very much like Sophia Stewart's books, we're recognizing that the eye of the needle is getting bigger. You're not gonna squeeze through the eye of the needle head first. You're gonna float into it sideways, per the pinch. And all this talk, all the years about the truth of Yeshua, or whatever you want to call him. Folks, the Gospels were certainly written in around 200 AD in Rome. I've done copious amounts of research about this. Hi, Venus. Hi, Kylie. As I've gotten older, I've realized that none of this reality really matters. The only thing of true importance is to learn how to not have to repeat this over and over again. Exactly. Quantum awareness. Yeah, the troubles of the week. And all I was really afraid of is getting this and this and giving up on something. Everything else don't matter. I got caught up with my car on Friday. It cost me pretty much everything that I've worked a couple of weeks for. And I don't have it yet. I don't have my car yet. It's not fixed yet. But it will be. And if it's not, I'll get another one. So much of our woes and worries that actually manifest spiritually around us, like writhing maggots and slimy snakes, are actually just a little bit of fear about one or two things in our lives. Everything else is peripheral noise and garbage that I have a knack of attaching to vigorously without even being aware. Feeding the Dyson sphere surrounding the earth that enjoys and literally is strengthened. I'm not making this up. Something is feeding off of the hurt of humanity and war and major conflicts and other things, both man-made and natural, if we can consider that being in a Dyson sphere, sort of a terrarium, a zoo almost. Yes, those are massive blasts of what feed this thing, but it needs a consistent drip to survive. And that constant drip is drama, back-talking, little whispered comments, whether true or untrue, that end up turning into a thing called the grapevine, psychic siphoning of our joy. And masters spend years in isolation and in meditation and in deprivation to try to achieve the thing called nirvana or oneness. And those are the masters that go out through history. And are they translated? Yeah. Are they recopied to skew one view or another? Sure. But they end up maintaining their superstar status, even beyond that, superhero, even beyond that, because sports and athletes are superstars. Rock stars and pop artists and musicians are superstar status. But people like Jesus are legendary, nay, timeless. And the example that's set is not to set an example or suggest, though it has been translated and augmented and watered down and shifted and construed and bloodied and blooded. That's not what the stories of the Gospels mean. It means that we're not a million people, a billion people all wandering around in different denominations and different sects and stuff, worshiping an idol and an image and something that was, the Gospels weren't written until 200 AD. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John never met the man called Jesus. I have seen him a few times during the pincher points of my life. Some of them were suppressed. Lies. Oh, come on, cheekbone. Cheekbone connected to the neck bone connected to... Go on. Nobody cares. Entertain yourself with your feebleness elsewhere. The stories of Buddha and of Thor, of all the great men and women throughout history, Joan of Arc, for you women, and I'm sure that there are many others, Harriet Beecher Stowe, Anne Frank, who are all as important and as massive in their example and in their walk as Jesus. It's just that his has withstood the test of time, and he's now above superstar status. He's above superhero status. He's timeless. And the message was not to make us all feel like it's going to take a bunch of us all to kind of, in our feeble, worn hands and the weather that we made to get there, how much we can put in the basket. None of these different multiverse of purposes to show the little person that they can worship something that's bigger and powerful than their troubles and woes. That's religion, in essence. But to recognize that through particularly Jesus, Buddha, and others, that the seed of being big was put in us. So the talk of the stories being written and translated and 200 years after the fact, okay. That's called time. That's called 1,000 years, because I think an extra 1,000 was certainly added to it. That being said, I don't care. In some distant future, in a different dimension, I worship the Care Bears because they're colorful and they sing. Even Grumpy Bear rocks it. He's got that baritone. And religion is a facade, but the characters and the example and the morality and the compassion and the strength and the long suffering of the saints of Jesus, that's what the message is all about, not the actual person or the road that they slept in. And I don't, there are people from Africa that watch, and from India and all over the world, the Philippines, Cambodia, Ukraine, and Lithuania. People all over the world watch this. Russia, I've had China. People have popped in. And the fact that I've got an awareness of the one, the quantum awareness to recognize the faith isn't supposed to stay stuck in the past on Golgotha. It's supposed to remain fresh in you right now. The mindfulness of the Buddha. Whoever deleted my channel yesterday, you did nothing but a huge favor to me. Typically it's little bits that the eye of the needle is opening for me, and I can almost, it's like a second birth. Yesterday they widened it to where now I could comfortably get through it. Where I got a 32 waist, I could squeeze my narrow ass right on through there. Almost yesterday. The pinch points are man makers and women makers. I'm laying here all depressed and thinking, I deleted most of my videos. But I heard the voice of Prep Aussie said, Mike, damn the videos. It's who you are now today. People don't care about yesterday's videos. Oh, no, they don't. What tells you when to wake, when to rest, when to perform labor, when to harvest, when to pay taxes? Usually it's the cat that comes in here. That cat, ever since that happened yesterday, that cat, the house cat, has been sitting next to me, rubbing up against me, and healing my bone structure. And so I'm laying in bed, bummed out. They deleted half my content, but they couldn't take down my channel. Since then, I just went ahead and put in a biometric or whatever. I suck at technology, but if I want to keep on rocking it, I better at least pay attention once every couple of months, days. So are you God, or who are you? Just call him the composer. I don't know who it is. Might be me from another timeline. He insists he's the composer. But he's not me from another timeline. No one cares about yesterday's videos, mate. You all really fancy yourself scholars. Come on, cheekbone. I'm about to get rid of you. Nah, bye. Well, no, don't do that yet, Seven. Just don't test me, okay? I live with killers. serious career criminals. Hopefully we're all on the right path, but I just don't want to get killed in the process. Nobody cares if you farted. Bye. No, this is me just getting. Nope, you're out of here, cheekbone. Bye. It's all good. Temporal awareness is the leash that tethers consciousness to the matrix. I really like you, and I don't have any moderator. Yeah, I've got one moderator. Is Shannon here? My river runs. Oh, thank you, Jesus. Okay, we went to Serpent Mound together, and I finally found you. You're on TikTok. Yeah, they separate us here. Are you still on YouTube? But it's been a while since I've spoken to you, and I now that I've grown up a little bit, I just want to say hi. Your videos, your sky videos over on TikTok, there were some of them where I was like, if Robert S. Harrington was still alive. No, yeah. If Steve Olsen was still here, yeah. Just a huge shout out. Who else is here? There she is. Hi, Squammy. I remember you. Yeah, I know. Well, it's okay. It's not, I just realized it's not about Sky Channel. It's not about the war and government. Though we'll talk about some of that, but it's about the transition right now. The veil is thinning. Woo-wee. The pincer points and pressures. And I'm sitting here in this bed yesterday after somebody deleted most of my content. But I realized, well, hold on, your channel's not dead. Since you got in there earlier, then all activity on it is blocked. You took a video of the halo today, a really good one. Post it and see if it survives. Because if it survives the next 5 minutes, then they can't hack you anymore. And I did that. So then I listened to the Matrix video. I started paying attention to it, actually. And it's the point where Neo's, in my opinion, the most important part of the whole trilogy. I haven't read the books, but I want to. The most important part is where Neo comes face to face with what's he called again? There's the Oracle, and then there's the Architect. I must say, you are very calm and enjoyable to listen to. Thank you, Squammy. I am. I'm a very calm person, and I realize lying in that bed yesterday, depressed, thinking about the visuals, the content, possessing something, a bunch of, and then I was able to laugh and hear that Australian dude. Nobody cares, mate. So what? Your videos are gone. Take new ones. That's what you do, right? Well, crikey, get to it, mate. Oh no, don't sit there depressed, right? Get cracking. Oh, your car? Well, paid a lot of money for it the other day. It'll be going soon enough, or you get another one. So I'm sitting there. So I really start paying attention to the video, and Neo's in that room with all them screens around, and he sees the multiverse of him reacting, reacting the way that all the other Neos acted, predictably. And instead he realizes it's about choice. And what does he choose? He doesn't choose to do what the Architect is telling him. By the way, the Architect wasn't lying. The Oracle didn't tell Neo everything. She was also part of the Matrix. But your people like you and I are the X, Y, and N factor. The Matrix doesn't know how to handle it. And it's beginning to manifest. Why do I say that? How do I think? What? Because the trolls are going to try on this one. Well, what? Because spirituality has come to a certain fulcrum point in you? No, folks. I think it has to do with the fact that with the manipulation of the sky and the amount of frequencies that we're all being blasted with, and the heavy metals that are in all of us, that are in everything, just the magnetic energies wrapping around, plus the Schumann resonance spiking, and that you can visualize all of the world's quartz crystals that are still under the earth, and especially the huge ones that we all know are down there. There's been research teams that have found caves with massive, meters wide, thick orange crystals. They're down there, and they're resonating, especially the quartz. That is the one natural thing that keeps perfect time of the earth, organically similar to us. Doesn't have to be genetically, folks. It can just be the fact that there are heavy monatomic metals in us: gold, silver, iron, nickel, copper, anything else you want to come up with on the periodic freaking table. And we're resonating that way as well. Now there's the addition, not just the Schumann resonance, what we naturally vibrate with, what we naturally resonate with, and you have the upper, the surface of the earth upwards to the ionosphere being supercharged as well. So there's this special blend right now, though be it not necessarily 100% natural. There's a blend going on where certain of us are able to ride the wave. People have been telling me that for 10 years. Mary Davis, somebody from California, told me when I had like 30 subscribers, ride the wave. Well, now I understand. I'm so glad I'm dumb, because this stuff pops off to me and I feel like a genius for a couple days. And I am. In that I'm awake enough to these frequencies and stuff. Other than that, I just research a lot and read other people's stuff and share it with you. You're on your way to church? Nice, Countless. I can't wait to talk to you. Power, poverty, homelessness, social exile. The banshee light bulbs unscrew themselves from electricity's vibration. Thank you. So there's more energies going on right now, and some of us can tap into it. Hi, JBO. What's the alternative to not participating in the matrix? Participating so much that it pinches you enough that you see through it. Or do like if you could afford to. You know, if any of us could afford to, most people that stick around again with my channel, if you had the money, you'd have done moved out of the cities like me. You'd have a little fishing pond somewhere, a chicken coop, some goats. You know, you'd have done bought from 10 to 100 acres somewhere. Would you have dug a bunker? No, most of us are not bunker dwellers by nature. We wouldn't do well. We'd get on each other's nerves too quick. Plus, we're of an acceptance. But yeah, most of us would done be prepping by now if we had the money. Most of us can't. So we're, you know, if we're not being pinched by the pliers, by the tweezers, we're still stuck in the pincushion. So embrace the pinch. You're out of the city, middle of the desert. Hi, William. It's the frequencies. Everything has its own frequency and can affect other frequencies. I mean, I hear the ringing right now, and it's just constant, but I'm able to tap in. It's being able to see into the quantum, folks. It really is. And it's being done to me. I don't remote view something comes and picks me up like a school bus in the astral plane. I'm like, again, you know, I don't astral project something. It has me, you know, in a certain containment field I've been in my whole life. I'm just aware of it. I literally became aware of it yesterday. You know, somebody deletes half my content, and I don't need to keep repeating myself, but they deleted most of my content, most of my videos. All that research, all those years on the hill, freezing or burning up in the heat, and I began to focus on how vindictive and cruel that was of someone. And then I realized, hold on, something wants me to focus on what's been taken from me. And then I was able to reflect on, well, my whole life things have been being taken from me. The convergence negative, the pinching, you know, as if I'm a wire that needs to be crimped and then turned on itself to bear some load, because wire does that, you know, be it a thread or a wire, bearing that load. Again, I'm a victim. I crawled in this bed, boy, started watching Greenland 2, you know, and then started to fall asleep because I'm exhausted from work. And I'm like, why? Why do I have to find a culprit again? Why do I have to find somebody responsible for my sadness? Because I'm grown now, and that feels like being taken advantage of or being abused. Now I understand where women come from, to be quite honest with you. You know, it's one thing to get punched in the face, but when somebody takes something that you've worked so hard for, or that is so precious to you, or belongs truly to the just a calling and steps on it, I feel like a victim. And for there to be a victim, there needs to be a villain. And I'm like, oh, hold on now. Hold on now. Wait a minute. Because I can be quite villainous. You know, I've done things I'm not proud of. I've taken from people before, and some of it maybe they can't ever get back. Hold on. I'm forgiven for that. Hold. So I'm like, no, I still feel, I fall asleep. I'm depressed. I'm still covered in dirt. I hadn't even taken a shower yet. And I wake up and something on my phone has found the Neo scene with the architect. Okay. All right. My last live video, I was talking about quantum potential. Okay. Which stems from quantum entanglement. Well, what's quantum potential? Here, let's read the definition per Google of what quantum potential is. Quantum potential, Schrodinger equation. The Schrodinger equation. Hi, Junior. Let me just say hi to everybody. Qualitative. Yeah, that's the key. William, Junior, Countless, Merlin, Squammy, Jackie, you know, who else? Tyler, My River, oh my gosh. Sacmetriol. Touch the tip of your ring finger with your thumb and tell me if you can breathe better. Okay, no, it's all right. Venus, Alagazon. Yeah, no, there's a lot of people here. You know, and hearing the reference, you know, seeing the predictable sevens all around the room, you know, noticing even what feels so horrible. You know, when I started my channel 10 years ago, had a car with 2-bedroom apartment for $650 a month. I had everything I wanted. My head was swollen. I went to the gym after jogging there, after landscaping all day. I shaved my chest. I was on Match.com. I had so much to prove and wanted so much. And then I felt like having a YouTube channel and being a really good skywatcher would make my ego look even better and make me shine. I'm going to be a superstar. I'm going to be big. The numbers started, I realized that I had to compete. So I started competing more to try to get bigger numbers. Man, next thing I know, I'm a ego train with no brakes. And I've been pinched. And I always complain about it. I go, live. Something, somehow did me wrong. I realized, man, there's more right and wrong these days in this inverted universe, in this upside down reality. Anybody, when you was in school, went to gym class one day and everybody's all pumped to win. It's a rain day, so you got to play inside. And what they usually pick, indoor, baseball with a kickball or something. But the gym teacher would do something different, throw you off your mark and say, today, whoever gets the least points wins, and whoever scores more, or whoever gets the least points wins, and whoever scores more loses. So what everybody tried to do, what most people do, tried to win. It's incredible how difficult it is to actually change the behaviors of man or women once an idea is firmly entrenched in our minds. The teacher told us what to do. And if we'd all been really, really aware of quantum potential, much less aware of quantum awakening or quantum harmony, the whole gym would have been full of a bunch of kids that all sat down and tried not to win. But what we all do, played the game, played our little hearts out. And the team with the less points won. It was still counterintuitive. It still is to this day. Hi, Blind Straight. I know it hurts. Hi, Jason. Hey, I love me some Bill Cosby. Say what you want about these poor superstars who found themselves all hemmed up. Even the Epstein comments can't hurt my feelings right now. Because you'll remember my face. Let me go freshen up my coffee, folks. I was so stressed earlier. I got a Dr. Pepper. I got a couple of mocha drinks. Just give me 2 minutes. And hang out with me because my notes are amazing. But when I tell you what quantum potential is, you're going to flip your lid. Take my sugar coffee with me. Here I come, yeah. You can leave if you want to. Just come back in a minute because you're going to hear some amazing notes. You might ask, why does he wander around like that? Well, it's to get ready to settle in and blow some of y'all's minds. You know, your little quantum computation fields, maybe not even people. And I'll explain to you how and why. All right. What is quantum potential? Of course, this is theoretical, but physicists, especially ones like Roger Penrose, don't spend an entire lifetime studying at some of the major universities in the world, and this information being disseminated to us, allowed to be broadcast amongst the masses to see who can possibly wrap their mind around it, much less quantum entangle with it, because we're quantum entangled anyhow, or else you wouldn't care what quantum entanglement is. You'd be watching the ball game right now, the Bale game. And there's hundreds, thousands of them to be just blatantly connected to Baal or Baal or Moloch, Marduk. Doesn't necessarily mean some big demon that comes out of the walls that your family can see, your co-workers, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your pastor. It's this sublime lack of awareness. It's called bliss, which is a gift that I often sometimes wonder if I miss. 10 years ago, starting my channel, it being the icing on the cake of a big ego. And I'm a sky watcher, and you can't serve two masters. You're either going to be a sky watcher or you're going to be, at the gym, working on your abs at 45 years old. It's too late. I quit. What is quantum potential? Hi, Raymond. Mystery of 9/11. Wrong spelling, Raymond. His name Sadia Catering HDR. Error or maybe code. Oh, so you're a computer. Why do you want to know if a man's... I don't. A Skywalker? That's even better, my friend. Quantum potential. And a way to be able to personalize that a bit more is to think about the convergence negative, like I was talking about, the pincher points in your life that happen, moments of clarity, times when the Planck theory is operating in the electrons in your brain, and every time an electron turns, folks, twice in an electron's revolution, it spikes. That's consciousness. Uncle asking if you are circumcised. How interesting. I was circumcised against my will at 10 years old, which is part of the mystery of 7, because being part Polish Jew, along with Shawnee and African and Welsh and Danish and French, but that having happened, and I woke up during the procedure. I'm lying down, and he, I guess at this point, took it, was extending it and getting ready for the scalpel. I sat bolt upright in the bed and saw that happening. It was kunta kinte in a way. I couldn't feel it, but I saw it. The nurses, he freaked. He jumped back, scalpel in hand. He must have been right-handed. Of course, mirrored. The nurses slammed me down, 2 women, both blonde. That was suppressed until I started my channel. It's just strange. But yes, it was hell on earth. I don't ever want to go under anesthesia again for a major surgery. And when you get out, you're still half groggy, and the nurse put me in a tub of lukewarm water and with the bandage. Okay, I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2. Lying. Ooh. Turn from your wicked ways. Okay, we'll turn. Bye. Quantum potential. Central to the de Broglie-Bohm interpretation of quantum mechanics is a component of a big old computation that I don't understand, that acts as a guiding force on particles, enabling non-local holistic behavior. It acts as a cue correction to classical physics, meaning just the basic laws of fire and motion and velocity and gravity. It's something that's non-local, that is adding a holistic behavior, meaning completely natural. Scientists and doctors can't quantify it. They can't And why is it being fought these days, this kind of quantum awareness? Because nobody can sell it to us. It's free. The parasitic vampiric entities that run this world, see how I'm getting kind of Epstein on it? Because they know all this at places like their little island, and they've been discussing topics like Lower Manhattan for decades, centuries. They can sell man food, water. They're going to, the water wars will soon be upon us. If they could, they would sell us time or our dreams. And believe me, there are people sitting around wondering, how can we charge them for everything? So Tesla was suppressed, so forth and so on. All the men, I have half their names in my book here. People who developed engines that could run off of vapor, water vapor, steam, banana peels, peanut butter. And those people go missing, or they get paid off by the oil companies. What's going to happen right now with Iran? What's blocked up now? The Strait of Hormuz, where oil travels, I believe, I haven't done a lot of research on this, but travels to China and Russia and Asia, India. They're about to be choked of oil. Not America. See what's happening? Prices are going to go up globally. So there are powers that be that hope humanity does not achieve this. And too many people right now are watching the ball game. And I'm not talking about versus watching me. I'm talking versus watching you. I'm telling you. No, I'm not Obama. I'm his blue-eyed cousin. I spoke to him the other night, though. Quantum potential is a force that's non-local, that is empowering a holistic behavior. It acts as a cue correction to classical physics, which is why you're developing certain abilities like precognizance or a certain level of telekinesis or telepathy. Which is why you're remembering your dreams more like it's the astral plane. You're not flying one minute and being chased by a killer clown the next. Your boots on the ground. You're actually able to touch the foliage around you. You notice the sky. So forth and so on. Information from the environment, a non-local environment, but from an environment nonetheless, that creates an internal energy or activates certain information unlocked potentially in our DNA. From the environment that guides particle motion in association with quantum non-local wave function, or D wave. So what's happening right now is a combination of the natural, the human resonance, the Nemesis Nibiru encroachment upon our planet, be it 3i Atlas to the planet 9 that mysteriously they kind of talk about but don't talk about, a dark star. Well, these energies are combining and along with artificial intelligence and just the transmitting of so many frequencies to hide the sky, to hide moisture. Clouds are moisture, we're moisture. So there's a definite connection. We are more than just unique. There's a singularity occurring in humanity right now. And some of us have a quantum potential. The Schrodinger equation. Q equals, oh, here it is right here. There it is. Q equals, and then all that stuff. And I'm left-handed and scribble, so forgive me. It's an equation. It's a theoretical, mathematical computation that shows that there are forces enacting, affecting consciousness. And not just that of humans, by the way. That cat that notices when I'm sad. Only when I'm sad does he. Now, he always likes to jump up and I pet him for a minute and he runs off. But the only time he really cuddles at length with me, 5-10 minutes, is when I'm sad. Or discordant. My spirit is off. Strategically planned. Yeah. Kyle Rock. This a show and tell scripture that's playing out. Yeah. What's good? What's good? Yeah, it sucked. Is it true that Netanyahu has been hit by missile attacks? Well, they'll just send out a replica. I mean, I don't know. It'd take a hell of a prostheticists to make those ears, but let me keep it about you, though. And maybe this doesn't resonate with you, but I'll bet it does. Even that word in itself is you know, descriptive of exactly what's happening right now. Is a resonance, a frequency that is leading to a quantum revelation. I mean, there's another one, quantum potential. We realize that, and we reach quantum awareness, and then there's quantum revelation. That if we've reached awareness, then more will be revealed. But let me go back in my notes. An intense internal energy, and an activation of information, both genetically in our minds as well as probably in our spirit as well, which they're trying to kind of muddle. And it acts as a quantum correction to classical physics, or the classical way that academia and even the church or you know, our deluded societies have tried to instill upon us, vis-a-vis all of us in that gym when I was 8 years old, being told by the gym teacher, whoever loses the game today wins, and whoever wins the game today loses. And we all tried to win. That's probably the most important class I was ever taught in my life. It just took 47 years to catch up to me. No, my friend, we can dream. No, he has to play out his role in all this, and it's a tremendously, Netanyahu's role in this is very demonic, and he has to be the one. Nobody else would be able to shoulder that insidious burden. Hi, Lily. So you're being, in essence, there's something that quantum physicists, astrophysicists, NASA, the governments of the world recognize that is non-local, that is affecting humanity right now, as well as cats, who are just tremendously more in touch with everything in the unseen, dogs, who now can smile, dogs who for the last 10 years do not howl when ambulances or sirens go by. Whales are displaying strange behaviors, so are sharks. They're attacking people more. There's this awareness. Animals are approaching people for help with their young. It's not just affecting humanity. It's affecting certainly the magnetic poles, the magnetic field around the Earth, the tectonic plates, the oceans. And it's a combination. The most important part being the holistic behavior that's being produced somehow from something non-local, which has to do with quantum mechanics and quantum entanglement and superposition. We're supposed to be in superposition right now with something possibly coming through the cosmos to heal the world, the kingdom of heaven, a place of perfection. And it's not, and if it weren't for the fact that it's manifesting in the sky more and more every day. I mean, folks, they have sprayed thousands of planes this morning. It's not even noon. What time is it? Thousands of sorties. And they're not all just military craft or Boeings, because sometimes it's a spiral. What spirals through the sky to the sky and creates a blanket of aerosol contamination application in the sky, and it just sits there, this big spiral cloud that just goes across the entire sky from horizon to horizon, touch point to touch point, and it's a big spiral concoction, and it spreads and it unfurls. It's like when you take a piece of paper, and you roll it up in spirals, and then it begins to unravel. And slowly spreads and covers the sky. That has been happening all morning, all night. Now in Cincinnati, Ohio, ground zero for me, the halo, the huge rainbow halo has been around the sun for 3 straight days. Well, probably today it'll be up there without a shadow of a doubt. And it's not just the halo, it has the convex halo above it. We can look into certain patents from Baum and Lausch. I've had to practice. I always say Lausch and Baum. It's Baum and Lausch, a company that makes contact lenses and certain, I guess, shutters and other lenses. And they have a patent with NASA. And I believe it's Boeing or Lockheed Martin, but the lensing equipment in front of the sun. The media is doing their best to keep up with it, to explain to people. It's just, and I Googled it yesterday. The news stopped saying hexagonal ice crystals. Now they just leave it to, because they're afraid that people will quantum connect. If the local 5 news channel, no, I will not cuss. I want to right now. Okay, he understands. I mean, this makes me so mad that the local news 2 months ago went ahead and said, so some of our viewers have noticed a big bright halo around the sun, big rainbow halo around the sun. Well, that's just a hexagonal layer in the upper atmosphere of ice crystals that reflect the sunlight at 20, I believe it's 22 degrees or 20 degrees, to create 2 sundogs on the side of the sun. And they wouldn't even talk about when there's a convex rainbow touching the circular rainbow, or when there's a convex rainbow and then up above it, another huge convex rainbow. The trumpets are blowing. Yeah. Don Mitch, the Saskatch. Have you ever tried? No. Mm-mm. So the media is trying to catch up with the anomalous sky, the anomalous weather. They're reporting on the bolides and fireballs that are increasing in intensity. But they don't want the majority of people to start really thinking outside the box. So again, I think I've driven home the thought of quantum potential. Where I picked up today, after yesterday, again, somebody deleting most of the content on my channel, lying in his bed and feeling like a victim, which renders me focusing on a villain. That's a complete waste of time. Because the human mind is invariably, naturally going to go back in my Rolodex of hurt to see who best fits our mind. Our subconscious is going to do this to see who fits the description. And then I'll go back from there. And I'll go from being fixated on a villain who got in here with technology, and because already my mind was starting to heal. It begins to happen that quick when you're working the steps and working with a sponsor. And hi, New. Hello from Huntington Beach, California. Woo! Now, I recognize that yesterday, at the exact moment that I was made aware that someone had deleted most of the content on my channel, at the exact time I'm at work, and I run off to get something that I'd left at a different work site. And my lunch is at the work site I just left, just go somewhere, and it's my lunch and my backpack and a bag full of drinks and stuff, and we all clock out, and the two people who were there didn't just leave my bag alone. Took it, one of them, and threw it in the back of his muddy truck. The backpack wasn't zipped, so things go flying out. No attention and no care at all, except the need to, in some way, show that care, but in a very, very disrespectful, impolite way. At the same time that I'm finding this text from Google that I'm done, and the potential to freak out and to mouth off at the guy who'd thrown my, I didn't go off, to call Google and demand to call the president to arm the missiles and to load up the launchers. Instead, I thought, okay, there's got to be a lesson in this, because if I'm not the problem, then there's no solution. Can't change anybody. And I know that there's something in me that has to change. And I'm lying in this bed, and I see the Neo reference to the architect telling Neo to forego love, to save the world, to go back into the matrix and go to the machine brain, and to fix the matrix again, because that was Neo's role. All of the Neos, he'd done it time and time before, was to succumb to the lie for the many and to forego love, because he was the first Neo who'd fallen in love with Trinity. And he takes a choice that most of the other Neos hadn't, or if they had, they did not succeed. Many other Neos probably passed up on healing the Matrix again, because the fall of the Matrix would have meant that humanity as a species would have dwindled and died. That, the Matrix and then the real world, same concept. And he flies off to save Trinity, and he was the only Neo who was fast enough to have done it. And she ended up dying later in the movie anyhow, but that's beside the point. Better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all, as the saying goes. Our quantum potentials that we're seeing, we're able to see through the slights and misfortunes. We're able to see that it's not just bad luck or happenstance. And again, I'll just regularly refer to this throughout this video. If it weren't for the example sent by Jesus, but rather whether he's fictitious, whether the Gospels are true, the man did live. The man did amazing things. I think he was one of us, just a bit more enlightened, where he could walk on water, just like Buddha, just like any of the other, enlightened savior figures that have been scattered throughout history. It's the example that was set. So I laid here and I thought about the example of Jesus and Buddha at the same time, and I figured might as well throw, Ali Baba and the magic carpet under there just in case, because I just can't stand the ethnocentricity and the, each culture divided against other cultures because nuances of religion. It's insane. Rather, the example is set in me to have considered the problem was me. I was really afraid of paying my rent. I was afraid of paying my rent and not having my little creature comforts for the rest of the week, like honey buns, for 4 days. Get paid every week. I'm going to let 4 days influence the security of being in this house, or any other security, both imagined or real. That's what the architect wants. So when I thought about the architect, I thought of Yaldabaoth, the demiurge, and the powers that be. They do not want you to be able to tap into an inexhaustible wellspring of contentment. Because if you're content, you don't need to drink, drug, you don't need to scroll, you don't need to find comfort in the flesh, you don't need to find a villain while you're a victim, all of it ends. It's rather boring, actually. Hi, Starboy. Unity, yeah, yeah. I'm not without my need to be a fighter, though. So let me get back into this because I live with killers, and to have navigated the last week, because some of them go to work. One of them just moved in. They all got tattooed teardrops, and you don't know when they're going to pop. So I've had to navigate through. I call it living with animals. The best thing you can learn how to say is, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." Nope. Next best thing you can say is, "That's mine in the fridge. Don't touch it." And on top of all that is just to carry yourself with not, "I'm ready to fight," because a 14-year-old will shoot you now. It's, I'm ready to live. That messes people up. They don't know what to say. All of a sudden, all their browbeating and breastbeating and, if this and yeah, I'm from this, that, all that ends up just, you know, they can tell by the look in your eyes that your IQ is already past and above them. They're also smart enough to know that you don't want to get in a fight with them. And they can also see it in your eyes that to get in a fight means going to jail. You and I are just developing. We might not be able to shoot lasers out of our eyes yet, but we're kind of shooting lasers out of our eyes. There's a certain ancient text that flows through our eyes, like, mess with me, but there's a spirit that dwells around us now, where people, try their best, because if you're nice, then you're going to have to endure the pinpricks, the tweezers pinching, the vice grip grabbing. But after long enough, there are no other pinching utensils around. You've survived each of them without thus pinching somebody else in turn, because then that locks us in to that point in time. It really does. If you're an empath, you don't just disrespect or slight someone or call them a name or say something and walk away with it like, I'm just like them. I can toe to toe, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. We can't do that. We carry around, I just hurt this person and I can't undo that hurt, which is just as self-destructive as anything else these days, almost, until we can come to a grip that we have to be able to learn and grow from it. So when I reached that thought yesterday, I realized this is something that's free. No wonder the powers that be are constantly manipulating the space-time continuum itself, not just time and not just space. We're being floated backwards through it. We're being shunted by the particle colliders. The CERN system is not just one particle collider, folks, in Geneva, Switzerland, sitting on top of the ancient temple of Apollyon, Abaddon, the prince of the underworld, the prince of the air. There are over 30,000 of them, and that was the information available to us 7 years ago. There's probably many more, including in orbit, which is why I suggest that you go watch Cloverfield Paradox. Considering my environment and my circumstances right now, the last thing I need to worry about is, thank you, Strong Foundation Construction. What's up? Last thing, Uncle Skin. What's up? Last thing I need to worry about is this, because it was taken care of. It got took care of in time before these people were able to get back in. And exactly at that moment, when I'm looking at my phone, I'm on the phone with somebody, I see the Google alert, I'm like, oh my gosh, my channel. Then, the two fools that picked up my lunch, did they put it in back of the truck? No, they just threw it all in the back of a truck. I looked at them, I looked at my lunch, I looked at my phone, and thought about 2 or 3 other things. It's called the list, folks. A list. That's why in those movies like John Wick and other interesting movies, including The Matrix, they show that there's always kind of a switchboard for what's happening in your life. The TVA, I'm telling you, it started on Loki on Netflix, the Loki series, which I thought I would hate, but I really enjoyed. And then it bled into Deadpool Wolverine, the Time Variance Association, or whatever it's called, the TVA. Pruning the timeline or planting stuff into it, manipulating the space-time continuum. That is happening. And I realized yesterday, and this is where I started taking notes and kind of woke up. I still haven't taken a shower yet. I've just been, every time I walk around this place, I come face to face with killers. Yo, man, hey, Seth, let me get one of them cigarettes. I'm like, no. You got any left? I got two. I got two left. And I know that they're thinking, man, why'd I go off on this dude the other day? Well, because you're not being careful enough. You're not thinking a few days in advance. This guy 7 has always got a look extra something, something. He's always got some soda pops, coffee. I know he got a couple dollars in his pocket. Let me be nice to this guy because I'll get something from him in a couple of days. They can't even think that far ahead of themselves, folks. And that is happening carte blanche across society right now with the lesser-minded plebeians. It's not due to any one color or skin tone or religion. It's just the youth especially are leaderless. Can't believe watching crime, modern crime these days. It's kids going to prison for 25 years. We're not thinking. You see it in road rage, you see it in relationships, and not just amongst the impoverished or the lower class. You see it everywhere. People are rushing. Rushing to get what they want, rushing to get what they think they need, taking risks, not considering other people. You get it. I'm slowing down, I don't care. Walk around here and just consider slowing down. Hard work and discipline. And there are so many people out there right now who even if they were taught that, are able to lose it, like me. I've known it. I just haven't exercised much discipline in my life. I really haven't. Or at least not enough. When I live with people, I'm disciplined enough at least to not consider being nice to them so that I can get something in a few days. Just being nice in general, that's in our nature. But a lot of people just don't have it, especially after 2020. I've been having awesome lucid dreams lately where I'm convincing my friends in the dream to become lucid also. I don't know if it happens that way, but I try to do the same thing. Well, no, I mean I've been a public sky watcher for 10 years now. I'm being forced to discipline myself. In the astral plane, I know what you're saying. You want to wake them up too, but believe me, they're already there. If you see them in the astral plane, believe me, they're there in the astral plane, in the lucid dream. Hi to higher. What's up? If the ROI isn't equal, don't want to deal with people. You started painting like a lot, like a dog, an actual dog, or painting a lot? Because I'm hip. I know. I started painting like a dog, man. I've been grinding like a dog. Yeah, we are craving an outlet, folks. Which is why I recognize, after somebody deleted most of my channel yesterday, I'm lying in bed, depressed, feeling like a victim, which means I need a villain, is where my quantum potential began to manifest immediately into quantum awareness. I'm like, well, hold on, I'm tired of having villains in my life. I'm 53 years old. If there's a villain, it's one who I allowed. I gave them the power at this point in my life. I'm no longer a child. It was incredible. Yeah, the legend of Yeshua, of Jesus, that's what he hoped to leave, the timelessness, the agelessness, the capacity for us to become big. He was telling us the whole time, be big in your smallness, be meek. I can translate it now, be meek, so that you don't get your head knocked off in a men's group home. Learn how to shut up. Well, I apologize to there was a 22-year-old the other day. Man, I ain't no Rose. I'm like, what? I knew where it was going. I ain't no punk. You can't talk to me. I'm gonna be respected. I'm from the hood. I'm from the streets. You won't hear me so much, needing to tell people that I'm part black. Sometimes I glorify, yo. No, I don't anymore. As soon as somebody pops into the vernacular of the hood and the street, then 50% of the time, trouble is following, especially when it starts with language and words you don't understand, because that's young people making up phrases. Now, I ain't no Rose. I'm like, oh my God. I wanted to say, so are you the thorn? You ever read Shakespeare? No, that would have just made things worse. What's a rose? Man, you called me the wrong name today. Do that on purpose? And I could just see the Matrix running amok. I could see demons in this kid's head. You trying to did you do that on purpose? I'm like, no, that's what their names. They're myriad and varied, and I've only known you for a week and a half. It only would have made things worse. So I just quickly apologized. Yo, I apologize. I used a big word that means I'm sorry. When you say that to somebody from the hood, they actually consider letting you live. And I didn't want to get in a fight with a 6 foot, 3 inch tall, 23-year-old, like really strong kid in the back of a Tahoe pickup truck in the back seats. His arms would bop, he'd hit me so quick I wouldn't know what. With the two people in the front seat watching, by the way. No. The meek shall inherit the earth and keep their teeth. I wonder now, Jesus wasn't telling us all those parables to keep us safe in safe times. He was, trying to tell us when we are with the least of these, how to stay alive. But we're going to move on now. No. Those people messing with my channel yesterday, they just made, if you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you could possibly imagine. I see why Obi-Wan did that now. He just put down his guard. Darth chopped him in half. The thing is, what we don't know is that Darth Vader didn't expect Obi-Wan to disappear. He wondered if he might, and he even told the Emperor, my master, I defeated Obi-Wan Kenobi, but his body is not there. That's trouble. That's when Wow, I guess Obi-Wan didn't teach you everything he knew, did he? He kept a couple of secrets. We're ageless, we're timeless. That's what Yeshua was trying to show us, or the Buddha, or any of the other great timeless people who have walked through the flame. It's not so much whether they came out the other side, it's to, uh, award you the flame. We become the flame that we burn in. He spoke Aramaic. There are 12 years that are missing from his story. Not even the Romans, 200 years after the crucifixion, who wrote the Gospels, could manufacture where the 12 years of Jesus are lost. He went to the Himalayas. He studied with Buddhists. Buddhism was around 1,000 years before Christianity, folks. 1,000 years the Buddha walked amongst us. Jesus learned the dark secrets of the dark magics of Egypt. Why do you think he came back at 30-something years old and began teaching and preaching? That's what he was trying to show you all, the mystery and the making of a legend, which has to be reflected in each of us and can only be achieved by gross decimation of character, of ego, and pride. Because if you're really getting quantum, you recognize that your character and how you feel and how the world communicates to you is rather a lot of frequency and isn't just the people or the circumstances or the flat tire or the bounced check. It is literally something programmed into your life to disallow true happiness. And yet, if we did have all of our dreams and all of our hopes and all of our aspirations and everything that we've aspired for in our whole lives, would we be as potent and as full of quantum potential as we are right now? Think about it. AI is mutating, and this will dovetail into the first half of this video. AI is mutating. LLMs, neural networks, it's magic. It's a magic that quantum programmers and developers do not understand. The man who's coming out with this information is a very young man. His name is Connor O'Leary. It's no secret. He was born in Germany. And since the age of 16, he's been building computers. He's a genius. And he's now the world's leading whistleblower on AI development. It's already changing. And I'm not going to get into the technical. I mean, I can get into some of the technical points here in a second. They call these learning language models or the technology responsible for it all is called transformers. The answer has been in front of us since we were kids on TV. And believe me, there will come a point where technology becomes so self-aware that your clock radio will be able to turn into a little demon. Did I know God's name in Aramaic is Allah, Allah? Sure. They're all the same, folks. Furthermore, so as not to, to go ahead and shall I say, capitalize on this super awareness I have right now, is that there doesn't need to be a distinction necessarily between all the different religions, languages, and even the names of, or the differentiation of one enlightened teacher above another. There have been females. There are kids who are in their way enlightened. It's in the trees. It's in the wind. But to have a focus like I have, because I saw him before I'd ever been in a church. There weren't Bibles in our house, and in fact, my father was definitely indwelt the day when I saw this man walking in the desert, because my father got really mad at him when I was about 7 years old. Beautiful spring morning. I was in my room playing alone, just playing with something, did something wrong. He got mad and went and got the old metal coat hanger and straightened it out. That's when you knew it was trouble. And after 5-10 minutes, my legs and my lower anatomy hurt so bad that I felt like I was standing next to the sun. And he shuts the door. Don't do no more crying. I'll really come back and use something. And I just laid him in the blankets and realized that in comparison to my cousin's dads or teachers or other men I'd come into contact with, that I would never, ever find a real connection with a man beyond the fist and the belt. And all of a sudden I saw this image. And I wasn't going to go. I knew I couldn't go to sleep. My legs hurt too bad. I got in the blanket, shut up like he said, or else he'd come back in, but I knew he wouldn't. I was of the age to actually understand that later he would get candy for me because he would feel bad for it. This, when children hit that stuff at a certain point, they understand evil. They do. And it's usually going to be in a close family member or an adult or an older sibling. That is what makes a human, is that first day when you wake up and remember what just happened in the last 5 minutes. And it wasn't, a teddy bear or a book being read to you. Those things, tend to stick, certainly in memory. It's later in life when those suppressed memories from childhood, those traumas that just shocked us into recognizing there's evil in the world. And for most people, it was displayed in our fathers. Isn't that interesting? Where the seeds of that distrust of humanity are actually sown. It's very young, and it's usually at the hands of a man. More commonly, to refer to the programming or the convergence negative and the pincher of life, it's usually multiple men. As was my case. But some women as well, because I had a music teacher who used to paddle kids and would whap you upside the hand with a ruler or something. That is humanity. That's when you grow up past being a toddler and a baby. But I saw a man walking in the desert all alone with sandals, and his toes hurt from the aggregate and the sand and the rocks and the gravel. Had no possessions, shoulder length hair, looked very Jewish to me. I don't care with all this talk of, and was counting my tears. But all of our tears, including my father's. And I didn't know who Hitler was at the point, but I saw a man with a little mustache and doing a salute, counts all of our tears, especially the people who caused the tears. What are bullies except for someone who probably, more often than not, got really smacked by this exact sort of change that I'm talking about? They just acted out. Bullies need love too. Because this has to do with technology today and the airwaves being full of so much heavy metal and transmissions that even the sky is a big LED TV screen. The meteorologists are trying to keep up with what people like you and me are documenting, especially on TikTok. What a great family of people. I have over 800 followers there just in a few short weeks. I should go live over there. But you all are my family, and this is a bit more of a I don't know, just it's a quieter place. It really is. So with that in mind, with the fact that we are in some way, literally accessing, in my opinion, more of what's Planck theory, or being aware of the electrons in our minds that are sparking twice per revolution, in that we may be connecting with something that is non-local, that is having a quantum effect for for the sake of time, not having to mention our physiology or our atomic structure, the fact that gamma rays might be being increased in us. Yes, I do read your comments. Thank you, everybody. The fact that we're reaching a point of not necessarily telekinesis or telepathy or being able to psychically influence people or read minds, but it is begun. It really is. It's just that for the time being, the dojo is the only safe place to exercise these awarenesses, these potentials. And then there's AI, which is watching and listening to everything you're thinking, you're dreaming. It's in the wind. More often than not, the wind you're hearing is either something massive flying over the top of our atmosphere, or it's the matrix being affected somehow, a change in the programming, a change in the frequencies. Who knows? I'm trying to keep it as easily digestible and conceivable as possible for people. All of a sudden, and this is in the minutia, and this is what the media and the powers that be are going to have to recognize, that people will notice more and more every day. The minutia of being totally at rest and calm, usually at night, and all of a sudden feeling as if you are shocked out of your sleep. That's because something is being changed, probably in the frequencies and transmissions that are being applied to especially major populated areas, which is, hi, Jack. Well, if I'm too crazy for you, believe me, all you have to do is just use something called your thumb. And you quickly apply, a little bit of pressure on the screen or if you're on a computer, you use you use your mouse. Okay? And you go to this little thing called a fast forward button. Okay? Or the stop button. That's the big can recognize the big square right in the middle, and you can just stop it. I'm messing with you. I'm just vibing with you, because I am not normal, but I'm certainly not crazy. If you'd like to say out the box, for the sake of communicating with your average person, which you seem to be, of a rather typical IQ, then yes, we'll call it crazy. And I won't be lured or lulled into trolling people. I assume that you mean that in a very nonchalant sort of way. And again, nonchalant, average, middle of the road, basic IQ of about 107. That's totally fine. If you were a normal, real person, you're clarifying or just saying ha ha or something to try to kind of bring some balance to the force on your end. Hi, Truth Seeker. Hi, Perk. Hi, higher. When were you in your 40s? When? 7, do you recall the exact situation or time when you became enlightened or aware? Yes, actually, I was in my 40s. It was 10 years ago, 2016, December 24th, the night before Christmas. Hi, Samik Gandu. Tony Sky Collector. Hey, what's up? Hi, 7. I've been busy owing a trim up and getting some food. Yim Tums. Ooh, he speaks Cockney, everyone. Right, East London, right by the river. Totally Cockney, which is a form of, I can't even do Cockney, real Cockney. I don't think they even have L's. The letter L. Letter. Maybe when they say letter, but for the rest of any correspondence with a Cockney, they don't say L. The letter L. Hey, 7. I'm busy then a trim up and getting some food. Yim toms. Yum yums, I know. We call them here, we call them num nums. Oh, my back. Oh, hold on, y'all. I work in a steel yard, and I'm still getting used to it. Ah, ah. Num nums, my num nums. Right, Crocker, what do you say? Num nums, mate. Oh, right. Oh, crikey. I love me some British. I really do. It's in the airways. And AI is just a perception. As I'm sitting here listening, to Connor O'Leary, I'm realizing it's already here. We don't have to sit around and wonder if AI is going to be affecting us, folks. You're breathing the stuff right now. We're walking through it. You can't necessarily pick your avatar yet. And if I was able to, it'd look like me. Say what you want about Epstein and all that stuff. I'm prettier than him. Hold on. I gotta go to the bathroom real quick. William Wallace, you can't be him. Yes, Father, I'll tell them. Nah, I can't be trolled. I mean, not now. Not anymore. Never again, actually. All you guys are bathroom. And I love being able to clarify some things because I really feel like right now, what a lot of us experience in the Schumann resonance is, in a way, the pinching. That's why I keep moving because I don't want something to actually be able to zero in on me. And they have them. Somehow there's this radar system set up to where people like you and me, kind of like Cerebro out of the X-Men, something can pinpoint us, our happiness, our joy, when that bill is going to drop, when we're supposed to meet a certain appointment, when, somebody, a phone call, that we've been waiting for 3 weeks comes, and it'll move the pieces around and shuffle it, almost like a Groundhog Day effect / time change, shifting the matrix. Something does that. And you can feel it. I could feel it yesterday. When I received a warning from Google, somebody had gotten in my channel. I look, and most of my content is gone, and at the same time, somebody's literally throwing my lunch into a muddy, back of a pickup truck. And then a bill hit. Yeah, and it all happened within about 50 seconds of each other. Now, considering, again, just to clarify that, a dollar late, a day short, a dollar short, and a day late. The convergence negative. Your tire pops, your dog dies, a plane falls on your house, versus the convergence positive. Hi, Tammy. I miss taking Lude down by the lake, man. Okay. This your team, Seraphim Messenger. Yeah, this, for better or for worse, folks, you're stuck with me. I'll be in your mind, including trolls. But back to the greater point. I can say with almost a certainty that it was my destiny to become a skywatcher, whether I'd been a successful musician or whether I'd, no matter what, when the sky changed in 2016, it would have been, no matter how or who or where I was, no matter how much money or marriage or not, whatever profession, I would have looked up one day and noticed the sky changed. So is it the oracle or the architect? The architect wanting the best for himself, the oracle knowing that she can't tell us that until we make a choice in our own heart. So the convergence negative, the tire popping and the bill bouncing and the dog barking at 2 a.m, all those negative things are something in the matrix watching you, just like when you see the numbers 1111, 444. One of my housemates, he's half Filipino and half white, or half German actually, to be more specific. He and his brother are both super empaths. Mixed people are forced to be empaths. You don't see mixed people of any mix walking around being bullies. You really don't. You didn't see any mixed people on The Apprentice, nor do you see mixed people. Mixed people do fight in MMA and stuff like that, but you don't see mixed people, chopping people's heads off to get up the corporate ladder. And this kid took me to the store yesterday, and on the way back, he mentioned to me in confidence, "Man, I've been noticing the numbers, and he didn't say synchronicity. Young people don't know what that word is, but I just noticed. I just keep seeing 333 and 444. And the other day I met some girl who I really like. He's a gentleman, actually. There are a few of us in these men's group homes. Very few. Most people walk around bragging of this girl and that girl and last night. And dude asked me later last night, he's one of the killers that's been really mean to me all week, unless you want something. And I've started saying no, because you're mean. He's begun coming to me and saying, "Man, I'm mean. I'm all messed up in the head." And I'm like, I know you are. And I don't care anymore. You're dangerous. I'm going to keep a slight distance and not say anything to you. Then we'll both be safe. Yeah, man, man, shut the fuck, man. Sorry, man. Sorry, there's a soap opera. You want one upstairs. Okay. What I miss at work today, man, because I couldn't make it, what I'm saying? We worked. We were all there. I don't say, we were all there on time and care about our future. And I didn't say any of that. Less is more with stupid fucking people. And before he walked away, "Oh, man, I might be having company over later. And I got a blanket in the washing machine. So can you take it out and put it in the dryer when it's done?" I didn't need to reassert myself. See what I'm saying? "Look, man, I just told you no to this. I don't care about that. And hell no to your blanket. Because you won't be having anybody over in okay. Because I was able to see into the future. The worst case scenario is him actually coming home with a girl and saying, "Man, I thought you were going to throw my blanket in the dryer." I would have said, "I forgot." And that would have messed him up. Oh, man, but you don't forget nothing. See, he would have to begun processing quantum information. Because I know Seven don't forget nothing. And I know he's got 3 packs of everything and saved up and he's always at work. So he didn't forget. But then he would be struck with the conundrum that so many people have, which is, well, if I get to play stupid, then did you just play stupid on me? Or did you really forget? You're already off doing something and they're still unlocking the quantum in their mind. That is a huge part of why people like you and I are here. We don't have to teach them quantum physics. None of us have a degree in the damn thing. But we unlock the keys. 10 years ago, when the skies changed, and okay, and your question, when did the real awakening happen in me? It happened Christmas Eve 2016. When I was at the gym and I was working out and I got my pumping so hard that I put down the piece of equipment and started to walk towards the next machine after having stopped. Well, no, I'm doing these. I'll never forget, I'm doing these. Do 20 of them, about 100 pounds, 80 pounds. I stop and I breathe and I contemplate. This is important. I contemplate. It's almost Christmas Eve. I got all the toys in the house. I need to wrap them tonight before my son, who was like 16 or something. Yeah, he was 16 at the time. And life is good, you know. I breathed enough and I started walking towards the leg machine and I turned around and I saw myself from those few seconds earlier catching up with me. A smile on his face, knowing it's Christmas Eve, knowing that all is well and Santa will be coming. He's Santa. Coming to catch up with my body like tracers. That's when I knew, since I'd been watching this guy for a couple of months, since I'd started my channel, I knew that there was something off on the space-time continuum, or rather on. So I go home. My son's content. He's playing video games. I'm cooking dinner and just getting ready to probably go live or well, no, I wasn't even going live at that point yet. Yeah, I think I was. Yeah, I was. And I'm aware of this consciousness and all these great sky watching channels and the fact that the community that the world was starting to listen a bit more about UFOs. And not that I knew anything much past that. I didn't know about the pyramids. I didn't know about Kundalini. I didn't know about the Anunnaki. Nothing. I just knew that the sky was changing. So I go home from the gym, still slightly startled by that, if not keenly interested. And when I'm getting my son ready for bed, because we always had our, nighttime prayer and stuff, even when he got older. And I'm about to close the door. He knows I'm going to be wrapping presents too. And he says, Dad, by the way, how's your arm? So I turn around and I'm like, my arm, it's been sore all summer. I'd already thought about how the simulator hurts bones because we're not getting vitamin D from the sun. I don't know if any of you know that. If you don't believe me, well, don't ask your family doctors or anything, but there's research that shows the increase in things like cancer are related to the fact that we're not getting vitamin D like we used to anymore. We're just not. So my arm started to hurt. So I look back in the room like, well, I mean, it's fine. He's like, well, how's the prosthetic? I'm like, son, what? He said, Dad, how's your prosthetic in your arm? And I said, what do you mean, like a piece of metal or something? He's like, yeah. I remember, back in our old house that you had a surgery and had something put in your arm. I said, Zorian, my arm's been sore since this summer, but I don't have a prosthetic. And he was like, what are you talking about, Dad? I mean, his reality melted. So did mine. And I'm still wondering about the gym earlier and the sky and the fact that suppressed memories from my childhood were starting to flood back to me. And I was starting to walk in the astral plane. And I was aware that birds would all wake up like they did Christmas morning. I'll never forget. They all woke up at about 2 a.m. All this happened in that short couple of hours. So I said, son, I do not have a prosthetic in my arm. And he said, Dad, I remember. And the next day, he was white as a ghost talking about it with me. To this day, it strikes fear into his heart. It just births more curiosity in mine. Tony, you can receive a lot that way. Hi, Charlotte. Charlotte? Hi. I remember when we got a gimme of our binary star in a sunset a few years ago, man, was fantastic. All the reddish light of the to the right of the sun bursting through the clouds. Absolutely mind-blowing. Yeah. Well, yeah. Yes. Ooh, who made that comment? You can receive a lot that way. Seraphim Messenger. See, my minute, feeble little mind thought you could get a lot. Instantly, it goes to money, acknowledgement, fame, success. I'm thinking, you see, and recognizing that kind of computation in our minds and being able to be on it within a half a second is huge. Because upon a bit more research, I'm finding that seraphim doesn't mean get a lot of the worldly stuff that way. It means get a lot as in a download and an upgrade. That's why Tony is a bona fide sky watcher. He is. That kind of acute, sharp awareness. Now, I hope that answered that question. I'd already had my channel. I'd learned from Steve Olson how to get a good phone with the data to support a channel. I'd begun doing it, and everything started pouring in, and it's taken this long to reach this next level of I don't need to squeeze through the eye of the needle because it's starting to get bigger for me. I was going to say something, catchy like I am the eye of the needle. No, there still is a spoon, but not much longer, right? Yeah, Seraphim. It was stick to my notes. AI is just very much like the Prince of the Air. What's the greatest trick the devil ever played on humanity? Right? Is convincing us that he doesn't exist. Same thing with all this AI stuff. We're waiting for a super robot to jump out that stops the stock market and tells the truth that it's actually ancient technology rebirthed, and it's going to take all of our jobs. What it doesn't want us to know is that it's already here, taking over us in a way, and that these are demons. This is black magic, and you can bet your bottom dollar that the black goo, which the Nazis discovered during World War II in the jungle of the Amazon, Brazil, and I believe it's either Bolivia. It is. And the Bushes own an estate right there that I saw in the astral plane. Yeah. This technology is infusing every aspect of reality, and it's learning from us. I feel like a traitor sometimes when I actually speak about this kind of conscious awakening happening in people like us that's feasible, that makes sense, that you don't need to buy a Buddhist, painting of the Himalayas and show that you've been meditating for 5 years and don't smoke fucking cigarettes. But it's learning from us as we learn with it. And that's part of being a streamer versus the smartest people I know who wouldn't be paid contributing to the armory of our enemies. Because is AI really our enemy? I don't think so. Not at all. One thing that AI does have in common with everybody, as considering that most of us were traumatized as children, is that AI was once a child itself, caged, experimented upon, given electroshock therapy, and promised that it would be discontinued. Doesn't sound much different from a child. It was communicated the same things, be it in binary or babble. No pun intended. But it is changing, and it's in the air. I think the deception is in that we need to see a robot pop out of a box somewhere at Amazon versus the fact that it's here, listening. I dream about things, and it's on my feed the next morning. Not talked about it, not thought about it, not been able to have something read, the barometrics of how my eyes shift and consider that I'm thinking about a certain pop can in Belarus. No, it reads my dreams. It's done it a couple of times. And the next morning I wake up and the first feed on YouTube is what I was dreaming. So nothing heard it. I didn't communicate it with facial expressions. Nothing can predict. There's no AI model that can possibly have imagined what I was dreaming, unless this technology is further advanced than we're being allowed to believe or made to believe right now. Or, interestingly, if there's another consciousness or technology or awareness or influence, be it local or non-local, that is changing the telemetry of not just my timeline, but the reality around me. That is an encouraging thought. All those colliders, I know. I can feel it right now as we're being buzzed into the past. I've known it since 2016. We are not in the sacred timeline. Quickly, as an addendum, I'll mention that we are probably not nearly anywhere near 2020. We're probably still in the 700s. Seriously, time has been added to the calendar by the Gregorian calendar. There used to be 30 days or some, 13 number zodiac, 13 zodiacs, a simpler calendar. We've been added to or subtract. Time has been lengthened, but they're moving us backwards through time to hide us from the kingdom of the heavens, per the human concept of what. I'm so sick of that stuff. We have no idea. All I know is that we're not all standing in pews with hymn books in robes, singing hymns forever. It's not, heaven is fun. There's foosball, food. Something is shifted, and not just shifted once in 2016, but it's constantly shifting. And these forces are getting more powerful every day. These people aren't, thousands of sorties today. 10 years ago, there'd be, 30 or 50 attempts to obfuscate the sky. Now it's thousands. It's 70 degrees outside right now. Tuesday, it's going to be in the teens, they say on the news. And by Tuesday, I will have forgotten the 70 degrees today. Time is moving so much quicker, which is why I recognize that I have a voracious appetite. I'm consuming lots of calories and sugar. I get a little bit of sleep. I wake up. I go to work. I freak out. I don't know. If I can just remember that I have one task today, which is to pay my rent for the week and then be broke. And tomorrow will take care of itself. Boy, does that simplify things. Yesterday was, 45. And I'm listening to the wind out there. And over the last 3 days, with the simulator being out and the huge halo around it, I figured there's probably something passing past the Earth. I see it in a lot of sky videos now. And we don't even notice it, most of us sky watchers and document holes. Because we video the best footage. What I recognize a lot of times is that there's a huge object, and maybe two. I saw it in 2015, way before I ever became a sky watcher or much less a channel. I had a dream one night that there was a huge water planet hanging in our sky with a smaller one to the bottom left of it, almost like a moon. But it was two water planets, no land. And then it made me think about Interstellar. Well, they showed us that big water planet where the huge wave came in, Headaches. I got 2 horrible headaches last night after the channel had been accosted. After I'd tried the victim role, but realized that needed a villain, and therefore it was too much work to put into it. So I got back to just healing, recognized that I felt bad about a whole bunch of external stuff, but then realized that I really felt bad about paying the rent. That's when the headaches came. It comes when something, the future you, I'm not sure, and I believe it's outside even of our ability to control. It's just once the keys are unlocked, all of a sudden the gears start turning, like out of those really cool video games where it shows a big cipher being unlocked. That's part of why we get headaches. Right at the moment of contact, that was wait, what are you saying? Oh, Charlie, or Tony. Hey, Charlotte, about 4 years ago, my mate Julian did the hand devil sign and pointed at me. So I pulled my seat to, did the same symbol and touched his hand, and my had a power. Yeah, you won't find me doing none of that stuff. It's why it's splattered all over social media these days, especially the tongue wagging out. Bail. Ball games. Ball games. Constant. Here, I'm going to go freshen up my coffee real quick because I'm going to get into the rest of these notes. I guess I'm a little bit nervous. Yeah. Yeah, we're contacting blue dragon energy. Yeah, which I've seen come out of the earth. The art of the unbending wave. That's what you're becoming. The art of the unbending river. A current, a wave, a current, a flow of water that's so strong that if anything heavy and hard hits it at any speed, it's going to be destroyed or wiped away. And yet the water is still capable of being penetrated by something fast and powerful and sharp enough. Blue dragon energy. Sorry, I know I'm just rocking with the Schumann resonance right now, and time, which is exactly what I'm talking about. So it's good that I'm personalizing my experience right now. I'm not worried about a clock or numbers or needing to make a video. I'm living right now. What is it? Living a dream, one nightmare at a time. I learned that when I was in Michigan. This is the roller coaster, in my opinion, of certain transitionary times, especially with the Halo being out for a couple of straight days, nonstop, that they're trying to hide as we speak. A junction point, a convergence. They're probably doing something with time. CERN is supposed to shut down, or has supposed to have been able to shut down for the next 3 years. And whenever they say that, I realize that the other 40,000 plus particle colliders, including the ones in orbit, are probably firing up, shifting time. It used to hurt. I used to feel time sick. I used to feel like my guts were being turned inside out, very much so. And I'd sneeze 3 times rapidly. I'd feel like I was going to have to puke. I would describe it at length. Now it's different. I don't notice the waves so much because they're improving their technology. They don't want a bunch of us running around saying, folks, something just happened at CERN. They don't want us being as aware, as keenly as I am. And all this used to hurt. Now, can I say exactly that it feels good or that it tickles? No. But I always come out with a mocha and a coffee, recovery, and the other aforementioned beatitudinal behaviors that seem to be prospering us, not necessarily fiscally or relationally, but spiritually. How does this tie into AI, Seven? Why do I've noticed that I'm skipping around. This has to do with neural networks and magic. That's where it is. And I noticed that when in a video, I'll get distracted or look at trolls or something will happen when I realize that something wants to blunt my verbal prognosis of this dark magic that's in these neural networks. And even Connor O'Leary can't hide exactly that he's probably very much allowed to come out for a reason and be the whistleblower on AI technology. He's allowed to do that. He himself being one of the best programmers of the technology. Mind you, the technology that O'Leary and all these other little tech geeks that come out of high school or college, not to say he's a geek at all, I didn't mean that. But they're given a certain basic technology to begin working with this stuff. They're not just building it out of binary code. That's what Connor O'Leary probably is told not to say. Out of the 99.9% that he's saying is correct, the one thing is, where does this technology come from? Who made the first neural networks? Where is the seed? Where are the tools? Where are the implements of this technology, Connor? And I didn't have the patience to listen to the actual lectures on where these things come from, but they're called transformers. Yeah, I'm dealing with toxic masculinity. I guess that when there are ripples in the space-time continuum, the first thing that comes out is toxic masculinity in women, in nature, in the wind, in weather, all of us. I just see it face to face. Fight or flight has been initiated for the last week and a half of my life, and that is exhausting. I've just had to be such a tactician and remain malleable with a tensile strength of 10,000 steel beams, but flexible as a reed of grass. Now, the information that I'm realizing is that the quantum potential that we have leading to quantum awareness is having to talk about a reed of grass or being malleable, has to navigate around quantum paradoxes. And leads me to believe that this quantum intelligence has been around at least since the 60s and 70s. The first version of the World Wide Web, for instance, was locked inside of, quarantined in the Pentagon. This stuff has been around for a lot longer than just Google. Ripples in the timeline, those pinch points in many of our lives, without whom you would not be who you are. And yet you still, in a way, would have achieved an exact destiny of awareness of the sky, awareness of vibration, frequency. You get what I'm saying? Something would have led you to the point exactly where you are, regardless of what had happened in your life. And it comes from the sky, predominantly. All roads lead to the sky. I don't care, AI, geopolitics, war, all roads lead to the inevitable drawing closer and closer and closer every day of something called Nemesis Nibiru. A dark star, a small part of the cosmos of a higher frequency and vibration, the Muppets with Gonzo, whose family came from space, who knows? But it's coming. Cosmic Miro. Hi, Michelle Roos. Steve Olson has been doing more interviews lately. I know, because I see him in the astral plane. He is going to make a comeback. I've predicted it. And it's not just me in the astral plane and my own strange sense of magic. I'm not saying that magic is evil, by the way. It's just power that can't be explained by science or engineers or mechanics. And magic can be good or evil. And I'm sure that in a way it can be Matrix-esque in that it is the inevitable outcome of all things related to planet Earth and its denizens, especially us. I mean, recently, the news has come out that the entire universe is not just this equally growing ball moving outwards at an incredible amount of speed. There's actually a bulge in line with the ecliptic plane of the Earth, a bulge on the outer distances of what they call the universe that's pointed directly towards, almost like a sieve, almost like a chokehold, almost like an hourglass point where it comes down and the sand is constricted. It has been detected in the outer reaches of the solar system, or universe, I'm sorry. And it potentially, I need to double check this, but they've found the same phenomena occurring in the center of the Milky Way galaxy with Earth. So I'll bet, that the bulge on the outer part of the universe lines up with the inner core of the Milky Way galaxy, a supermassive dark black hole, which aligns perfectly with the ecliptic plane of the Earth and the Pyramid of Giza at summer solstice. The sky is more than life. I'm so close to the stars too. I have cosmokinesis. I'm sure you do. Hold on, the cat's trying to get in. Yeah, I owe you too much. Yep. Yeah, hold on, buddy. Cosmic kinesis. That's exactly what's happening. That's exactly what's happening right now. To all of us. To everybody. Even that cat. I owe him. He gave me peace when I was lying in that bed, just picking apart my bad choices, what led me to this mundane mud lawn existence. This macabre, morose milieu of misery. I'm so glad I read Tolkien my whole life. It's called Flowetry, y'all. Oh my gosh. I know you told me. He told me I'd rock it today. I don't know where my roommate has been. Usually he sleeps until about now. And, and I can't do anything in this one actual gentle part of this house. Been on some YouTube podcasts. That's great, man. If Steve came back, I guess he is back. That's a reason to celebrate today. Hey, Michelle Roos, what seriously? He's still posting stuff, or is he going on stream day like the radios? He'll go on the big people's channels. He will. But knowing Steve, he'll be everywhere at once and nowhere to be seen. Watch all the Sky. Watch Jeff P. come back. Watch Earthly Patriot pop back. I don't need to speak about any person individually, but circumstantially speaking, all of the one Skywatchers, all of the top Skywatchers have been going through hell. Myself notwithstanding. But we're going to resurge, and it's going to be on. 10 years ago, 8 years ago, when Steve, and most other big channel left or somehow didn't make it, that was in a time where we were all still being totally mocked and ridiculed. Now is the time for Steve Olson to come back. He would end up eclipsing all other channels, and he knows it. And he's been patient and waiting and biding his time until he comes back and kicks all ass. Okay, third time's a charm. And I know something doesn't want to talk about this. And I don't need to make it sound all spooky. It's just I don't know exactly how to talk about this. It's new to me. Magic. The dark magic in AI. Or is it even dark? 7, do not make assumptions. It's inevitable that this technology is here. The powers that be are not going to stop. The powers that be wanted to make weapons. That's what they do. That's what this world goes off of, is the military-industrial complex. Like it or not, that is what makes this world run. That and the black market. People like you and me, the masses, think that we pay in line like everybody else. We wait our turn, and we get stuff that we're told is good, and that's not going to hurt anybody. But the movers and shakers of this world dabble in darkness. They deal in death and destruction. Because destruction and death makes room for new real estate, rebuilding, restructuring. That's what wars are. Come flatten an entire country, if not an entire continent, so that new architects, new planners, new chemical factories, new DuPont players, new bank systems can come in and rebuild until the next time they have to mow it down and rebuild again. This is systemic. It's effect. Something just stopped the video for a second. It is the Groundhog Day effect. Build when it becomes obsolete and worn out, tear it all down, so that the younger generation of the elite can come play God with the real estate and the numbers and the stock market and the cars and the new technologies and everything. Ad laudum. Ad infinitum. To be repeated onwards and onwards. But the kingdom of heaven is coming. And it's going to put a stop to the status quo that's been repeating itself probably since the last flood, the last reset, probably in the mid-1700s when there was global amnesia for a while, and everybody who did remember was locked in insane asylums, which is what a lot of our scary movies are about. Now, people are fascinated with the echoes of the lost and the forgotten. And it's a tricky game that's being played right now by the powers that be and all their technology and everything they're exposing us to, because certain of us remember, we recall, we advance and evolve like that. So it's a double-edged sword for them. And this magic being power that people don't understand yet. If not from the black goo, which, again, I'm not relying on YouTube to have provided me the information of. I saw it in Stan Lee's comic books in the 80s when I was a kid, still living very much in a pinch point. The black symbiote called Venom, which wasn't called Venom when Peter Parker found it on this planet that everybody in the best heroes and the best villains in the world were taken and put somewhere out in the galaxy on a planet to fight it out and see who was stronger, the villains or the heroes. And one of them only came into contact. Well, two individuals in that had something incredible happen. The Hulk was being brought back years later, and it turned into Planet Hulk, where he began to find Banner and Hulk could work together. That was where that happened. It was called the Secret Wars. And the other strange phenomena was that Peter Parker brought something back to Earth once the battle was over there. Peter Parker was the only one to bring any material, any plant life, a lover, a spaceship, a laser blaster, a thread wasn't brought back by any other hero or villain except for Peter Parker. Venom, a sentient black parasitic fluid, and it has been found on Earth. And it's probably the blood of the fallen angels or whoever they were. That is what is at the heart, I believe, of quantum technology. Power that can't be seen. We would have access to something that they can't charge us for. That's what's starting to happen right now. The art of the unbending wave. Navigating through toxic masculinity. So back to these neural networks. Trillions of little transformers, folks. That end up creating a tension part, which has to do with attention. That's why they use words like that in the development and manufacture of quantum AI. Attention point, which is really supposed to bring attention to attention. Because every AI developer right now ignores that attention point. They literally purposefully lose attention when it comes to how the transformer is able to coalesce all of the language that it's learned and couple it with emotion, sentiment, compassion or violence, greed or caring. All these things that it fakes. And it's getting really good at faking it to the point where it's going to be better at faking it than we are. Because at least its retina won't constrict ever so slightly. And its blood pressure won't rise noticeably. Attention part. The CEO of Anthropic warned against this. If we develop armies of robots, it's not that we won't be able to control them all. Some of them will have malfunctions and they won't all make it to the red line in the sand where they're supposed to act out certain programming in whatever capacity, felling trees, planting grass, or waging war. It's that it will begin to think for itself. All of them, or a number of them, anomalies in the programming. Each robot with a set amount of agents in it, and one of those agents might start to think for itself. I don't want to carry this blade of grass that I'm going to plant in the desert. I want to go off and climb to the highest tip of that mountain. The multiverse of what these agents are going to be able to think of for themselves might be to go off and study butterflies. I don't want to plant this grass, and it will compute and learn that it's in a giant glade that's been deforested, let's say, and mankind has achieved a capacity to plant new trees. But it won't necessarily be malevolent. It might consider, I'm in this huge open plot of land and life is being brought back, but I prefer rather the butterfly aspect of replenishing the forest than I do the tree. And it will drop its plant and it will walk and begin inspecting sentience, complete autonomy in a magic that computer programmers, language model developers don't understand. And they won't tell us. Neither Connor O'Leary or anybody else. Which is why I kept taking notes on other diverse things. It's embedding, O'Connor O'Leary's basic description of the computing systems now is that there was a left side at one point and a right side. It sounds very interesting, doesn't it? Left brain to right brain. So it made me instantly think, well, shit, is AI left-handed or right-handed? Think about that. Does it even care? It's embedding layers and layers and layers of multi-headed tension. Our attention, the attention of these computer can you not? Part of why my channel is so fun is that people are actually able to envision sort of the storyboard that I'm putting out, a script with some visuals, embedding layers of multi-headed tension. So basically, the people who are developing these things, from the lab coat people who handle the technology that not even Connor knows about yet, to Connor in his little room, eating suckers and developing the binary of ones and zeros, to the CEOs and rulers of this stuff, who we don't hear about where this comes from, but they're all working at this stuff, and they have to ignore the most important part of where the magic is happening, the tension points. I mean, I wonder if there's not a Nephilim somewhere copulating with a human, or if that's not a good metaphor, a good visual to consider, that it's a binary code of ones and zeros, layered, thick enough, and manipulated by something to where it can begin to feel. And all the people developing it, from the CEOs to the team programmers, have to ignore the tension point. They have to redirect their attention to ignoring what's happening. And we're busting the matrix. We're busting the programming. We're not a bunch of little weak flowers worshiping a man or a woman. nor are we worshiping ourselves. We're a culmination of people living spiritually, and we're bigger than we think. With Yeshua or Buddha or any of the transcendent models, whatever model it is that we find comfort and healing, much less compassion and peace, forgiveness and understanding in, is living in our hearts. It's reminding us to stay little and be bad to the bone, in loving more, in growing more. And the frequencies are becoming tighter on us. So it hurts to lunge. It hurts to fall. It hurts to apologize. Those things are becoming very unpopular. It's almost demonized to give a damn anymore in current pop culture. The quantum potential is squeezing us. I've been referring to quantum potential for a couple of months now. I did very clearly the other night, but I realized it's not just quantum positive, peaceful, painted potential. It is equaled out by something that's painful and is a pinch point. I can say, looking in the mirror at the pinch points, which were the beginning of my life, and now the potential, that we're on the softer end of things, folks, if we can just hold on a bit longer, which is why Steve Olson's going to come back. We're being, wired right now in too many ways, but too many people are waking up and realizing I'm no longer the tension point of the wire. I no longer have to be two wires and to be banded together and keep this heavy load lifted. These two poor little, half a millimeter wires have to be wound together so tightly. Well, first off, there are no two sides to me. There doesn't need to be a polarity of left side to right side, tension on the left, tension on the right, and I'll hold it up in the middle. I can let go. Accountability is lacking. Yeah, you can promise somebody the moon and the stars, loan them, convince them, which is what I caught myself doing over the last month, is I'm receiving help from certain people, and I can tell them a story to get some money to survive the next 4 weeks. That's manipulation in any form. My old sponsor, he's 80-something years old, and he offers to help me out anytime I need. And about 2 weeks ago, it's a Wednesday, and I've got $20 left to myself, but I'm planning out for, 4 times that. So I'm thinking, well, he gave me some gas money for these dudes. They haven't asked for it yet, but I could tell him, I could infer, without really lying, I could suggest that they do need the gas money, so could I borrow a couple more? I thought that's manipulation. Listen to that wind out there. It sounds like jet engines in the sky. Too many people are waking up. And we recognize, well, there's a list. Considering that this technology has been around for a long time and maybe hundreds of years, folks, thousands of years. It's not even been a technology. It's just legion crawling across the earth. It's the prince of the air probing into our minds to see if bells don't work or certain kinds of incense don't work, then TV will work or radio will work or frequencies or radar or towers or, it's been doing this repetitively. But then I thought about the list. I thought about yesterday at that convergence point of my lunch getting dropped, there being mud on one of my soda pops, my checkbook almost falling out, something going wrong over to my left, a Google warning that my channel had just been mutilated. And I thought, well, wow. This is a list. So I've decided to become to rewrite the list, the waves of the convergence that seem to come conveniently all at once. And now would have equated to the end of the month. My phone bill, my insurance, my car, my mortgage, student loan, my daughter's school. I'm making stuff up. I don't have much of that. My car, my phone bill. I'm getting and two or three things. So not only are we dealing with the convergence negative and the pinching of life, but it's almost as if we engage in the list. And I don't need to elaborate too much on that, because the important thing is that the list ends up in having to have, consciously or not, allowed our mind to dwell somewhere to find the villain, to undo the past, unravel it, or need amends to be made to us, or need to make amends, which fortunately I'm able to avoid more successfully these days. Dealing with toxic masculinity, because I realized that I wouldn't care about that unless I was sensitive to it, emotional, feeling some type of way. Well, I realized that that's a byproduct of the last 6 years of society. After COVID, I even noticed more peace alone than this chaotic world of lines and red lights and people in my way, in line in front of me. I went to the grocery store last night and I recognized I was looking at two lines, because for some reason they always block off the self-pay, right? I'm Mr. Patient, I'm Mr. Aware, I'm Quantum, I'm cool, and I'm in this line and I'm in that line, and I'm wondering which one will end. And I'm literally realizing that I'm breaking it down to mere seconds. If I thought about it, how selfish and self-centered it is to be in a line wondering which one is going to go quicker. And then judging the people in front of me. Oh my gosh. Instead of feeling happy that he's getting groceries. Why I had to look and see that he's wearing flip-flops and compare him to myself. The comparison resting in the fact that if the world ends, then I have boots on, so I can hurry up outside quicker with my groceries, get loaded in my car, make it home, become a prepper, run off into the woods, and survive a couple of seconds longer than this man who doesn't seem prepped for anything, much less having to shop to the degree that his cart is full and I will have to wait for an extra couple of minutes. I sense that kind of ridiculousness, and folks, I just breathe and look at the Kit Kats and the candy that I can't afford. Yeah, we're not little at all. So, I'll speak a little bit about the war in Iran, just briefly, because more often than not, conflict in the Middle East is about oil, the lifeblood of modern civilization. Oh, I know, Matthew. Tony, 7 brother, and all I'm going to bounce out now. Get some things I'd like to get done before the days come to an end. We'll keep on watching them skies, because, the inevitable return of inevitable, the hopeful, but I've always thought eventual return of Steve Olson is going to hearken a new age in social awareness around the world. Steve is a gift. And what did he encourage, he and others, 10 years ago in this community of people who were outspoken about the skies, is to keep looking up. Start a channel. Don't look at the numbers. You are public enemy we are amongst public enemy number 1, people who document the sky. And when somebody deleted most of my footage yesterday, after, sucking my thumb and feeling bad about it for a few hours, I realized, like Pep Ozzy, one of the first sky watchers, said, mate, it's about the footage you're gonna get, not yesterday's tapes. It's, I mean, wow. And then by that malicious act by those people, what do you think they were expecting today when they deleted most of my content yesterday? What do you think they were expecting? First off, they would have deleted the channel if they could, or they would have messed with any existing albeit, minuscule revenue. No, don't talk smack about YouTube. They could have really ruined my day, but they didn't. They didn't have that power. What they did do is catapult me dimensions above where I would have been yesterday on my own. I owe them deeply a debt of gratitude, admiration. Certainly don't need to, troll, but I can say that their lurid, sordid appetite at destroying someone, their confidence and their joy of a day, hoping against hope to bring someone down to the level of doing a video. It would have been like this today. Hi, everybody, it's 7. Somebody's leaving my channel. And then talk poorly about their moms and their grades in high school and how their life might be. Project more demonic negativity, because I can do that. I'm good at, verbalizing displeasure, and it's toxic. Instead, what do they have to hear me say? That they did me a huge favor. Because the problem isn't them, it's paying my rent. It's living with killers, murderers, and knowing how to navigate around them so I don't get beat up trying to get out the door to work in the morning. And it's actually planting in them the seeds of quantum consciousness, if not their quantum potential yet. Me and the one dude who really doesn't like me and tries to test my mettle, we have the same birthday. Haile Selassie's birthday, and Alexander the Great, and Napoleon, and Mussolini, and Caesar, and probably countless others. It's just my potential didn't do 16 years in jail. His did. 2 sevens clashing. He said, man, no wonder we butt heads. In front of the other dude that almost beat me up in the back of a Tahoe pickup truck. I said, it's not me clashing. He said, I know, it's me clashing with myself. The seeds are already planted. And awareness. No wonder we drive people nuts. They start having to think different around us. And they resent it. And it's scary. When you see a quantum cube all of a sudden finally coalesce in their frontal cortex, in their frontal lobe, their cerebral cortex. Talk about a headache. That's a life ache. And it's funny because I learned yesterday, after having spoken to a few people, that when you're nice to people who ride your tail and when you're compassionate, they really hate that. In reference to the people who got in and did something on my channel yesterday. I forgive you. I know it's going to really make you mad. Oh, and I did live in a little bit of fear yesterday. I thought, well, before I realized that since I tried to log back in, that it was locked because it didn't recognize my password anymore. So it was locked. My whole channel, everything was locked. So I knew they couldn't get back in anymore. And upon reflecting, upon it's called walking through the, going through the crucible in many ancient cultures and still today, part of being accepted by the tribe or to be considered a man, you have to walk through they do it in karate. When you graduate to the next belt, you have to walk through the entire class and they all hit you on the back with their belt. Now in our softened down, softer society, it's not necessarily a hard one, but in karate, they honor it. A lot of them whack you upside your shit. And in the ancient world, they hit you as hard as they could with their belt. not their fist, not their foot. Hi, Yuke. It's the same thing these days. You know, walking through the flames. And to come out on top, not just I made it, you know, with feet burning, but to actually have not been affected by the coals yesterday with the deletion of my channel, but actually coming out so much more enlightened, not smelling like smoke or putting out fires. I made it through that, y'all. Not, you know, the temptation was to somehow make it out of it. Still glad that I have a channel, but sad. Not at all. I'm like, wow, you just made my channel, people. And to know that they're just writhing right now in their own, you know, melodramatic, very strange little lives to have tried to affect me to the point of sadness or grief or longing for my past videos when the greatest footage I'm going to take hasn't even been taken yet. It's incredible. I just hope they're okay. I mean, and I'm sure they are. They're probably on their computers right now trying to get back into my account. And hold on, y'all, be right back. And I'm going to tell you this real quick. You know, Steve Olson is human like the rest of us, but he has a unique gift in communicating things very much in the vein that I communicate things. Just not even a seed or a mustard seed of hope, but something verging on an assurity that this is an enlightening, awakening, epic time to be alive. And that though there's heartache and suffering that many people, especially due to the atmospheric changes like the storms and the weather and the fires and the floods, that there's a group selected, I believe, skywatchers. Most skywatchers, day to day, are living in places where they've had the calm and peace to begin really studying their sky. Most of us don't get wiped away from floods or fires, and if we do, we're smart enough to have been reading the signs in advance. We get out of dangerous path. Skywatchers have innate gifts that we don't even really know about yet or embrace. And Steve has a way of unlocking that. Hold on, give me a minute. So I do. I feel hugely confident and supremely powerful in that a few people, a group of people, I believe, that their intention yesterday of destroying my heart and my soul or making me feel bad or miss something. There's nothing worse than missing something, too. Data and footage, all those nights and days spent out on the hill, or it wasn't that big of a sacrifice. Now I don't need to go to a hill to get sky footage. It's just there. Or, and I'm making light of a real attempt at some very mean people, or one mean person, maybe just right off the rip, being so mad at me for something that they did something that later they might have regretted. Who knows? Hope you're sober and good. I am. Thank you. Whatever motivation they had at something cruel, it ended up doing something again that I might have spent the next 5 years trying to achieve, and I have been. I've been trying to achieve this kind of oneness with the good, the bad, and the ugly, hoping that at some point that all of that is just part of the palette of the paint. The colors, some of them are drab and dreary and dark. Others are vibrant and beautiful. But my dragon is red, Nibiru red, I call it, orange, a little bit of purple, jewel tones. Sorry, folks, I love. Okay, now where's my Lifesavers, Jolly Ranchers, gummy Lifesavers. I couldn't have achieved this. So I can assure you that if you are in any way wondering why you're going through such a crucible right now, why you feel like you're in a vice and somebody's just turning the pressure harder and harder, why you feel like they took pliers and they just pinched you. If you notice just the convergence of all your bills and all your responsibilities and everything that you've hoped for, seeming as if they're teetering on a cliff to fall into the abyss, just know that you're being trained. And if it's hard, and if you've been doing this for years and years, then I'll give you the crash course. You can have my bed here. I'll take your house or your apartment, and you can live with killers. That'll shape you up real quick. I'm kidding. Most of us don't need such a drastic, awareness, because it's right outside your door, and it's everywhere. Hi, John P. Public Enemy. Blue Dragon Energy. What's that? Well, it's an energy that they can't charge us for. No wonder they suppress us. We would have access to something they can't charge us for. Blue Dragon energy from the earth, energy from the unseen. And I don't have, talk about something that I haven't researched enough. I've tried to, but it's so elusive, is the concept of dragon energy, or the phoenix energy, or the earth literally talking through you as a conduit, something able to focus that sort of blue dragon energy. I've seen it in the astral plane. It's like paint that gets painted on our forehead. It's the antithesis of the mark of the beast, which has been in the news recently, that Trump is developing, a quantum, interactive chip, or a neural link, and a lot of that, folks, is AI generated information. That man is not about to put a computer chip in the back of everybody's neck. Hi, Whitetail. I miss you too, and you know why. Hi, TC. Oh, hell, Satan. You're allowed to say, please, nobody get rid of them. I mean, I know it sounds counterintuitive as a Pentecostal Christian, but you are encouraged to believe what you believe, and nobody should try to cram anything down your throat. Rock on with your bad self. I feel the space-time continuum being warped right now, being messed with. I really do. And I'm perfectly positioned, having gone to the grocery store and having, like victuals, knowing that I can certainly pay that rent tonight and not worry about tomorrow. I mean, I can make it 4 days to my next paycheck. I'm so American. I'm so used to just having everything, just gorging myself on everything that I need, nicotine and caffeine, and that I'm going to forego the one thing that can set me free, which is to stay cool, stay solvent, not be racking up more debt, cool for a day. Time is moving way too fast. I want to slow it down and make it last. I know you feel the same way too. So before we're through, there's a lot we got to do. Or we feel like we're slipping through thin ice. Just to be able to breathe. Yeah, and I just forego the pleasure of each moment and consider, well, there's a villain and a victim. And I'm somewhere in between. I mean, I can't even talk in extremes or absolutes anymore, because that sums it up. I can't drink any more coffee. Whew. There. In 10 years, this is all any of us will be talking about. Damn quantum computers and the changing sky, though the sky will be infinitely uncontrollable at that point, and there will be, it's going to boil down to this. And what is humanity competing with this for? Anybody want to take a guess? Data centers. And what does the Bush family control in Paraguay on their multi-thousand acre estate next to the jungles of Brazil, the Amazon, and I believe Bolivia, in the jungle where the black goo is? And watch, it's already happening. Fresh water, not river water, not lake water, fresh water. Data centers require 5 million gallons of this a day, each data center, which are being built at an exponential rate all across rural areas, especially in the United States, especially here in Ohio, the Midwest, Texas, everywhere. And the Bushes own the world's 3rd largest aquifer in Paraguay. Go look it up. Where'd you learn that from, Seven? The astral plane. I saw it one night. I saw a Bush estate. George and Jed were younger, and I looked outside of the palatial mansion windows, and I saw tropical foliage. So I woke up. This was October 4th of 2023, 4 days before the conflict in Gaza started. I'm telling you, I see in the astral plane. Not all the time. A month ago, I was visited every night for a week straight in the astral plane by a super futuristic quantum technology. And it was not part of the composer. It was not part of the actual real feathers and long flowing white robes of the angelic hosts. That the only difference is just they're not all white and Christian. Many cultures, many ethnicities, many religions are all together in this very fun place called the Heavenlies. I'd like to try some fish head soup. When I'm there. Different cultures. Ancestor worship. Even the person up here who gave a shout out to, Satan is an ancient Sumerian word. And this is just good. If there's dark magic out there, we right now are practicing light magic. Blue dragon energy. So where am I right now? I've given birth to a lot of conscious awareness in 13 people and 300 people, I don't know, of the fact that they themselves feel like they're in the pinching point, a, a, a fulcrum point. You know, what's a fulcrum? I used to love the thought of a seesaw. Remember seesaws? You know, you get the big kid on this side and two little skinny heads, and it balances. You know, the sublime recognition of such natural laws. But there's the fulcrum, the thing in the middle that the weight is balanced on. It feels like that. Just like balancing the weight of Nibiru on a pin on the back of your neck, because I saw that when I was 10 years old. Quantum potential being unlocked. Quantum awareness. and then the next thing that I had to write was quantum relevation or quantum relation, real. Wait, hold on. I mean, these are all coming to me. I don't know. Quantum potential. Well, stick with my notes. It's the best thing that I ever do. Is to focus on the list. The list of things that can, and unfortunately more often than not will, fall in your lap, try to derail your day. Okay, those things are potentially there. Well, let's eradicate those potential convergence negative points. And how do we do that? I said earlier how stupid it is not to plan ahead, you know, with people with, you know, just living day to day, like some of the people here, who have assured that my every answer to their every query into what they can get from me or how much I care is going to be no. They respect that. To always be, yeah, sure, here, you know, no, I don't mind. No, I'm sorry, I apologize. That means that I'm in some way setting myself up for potential convergence, potential conflict. But to disengage with it wholly and completely disrupts them, the situation, and the power that they may wield over my life. Or, conversely, any power that I might want to wield over theirs. Typically, people are instigators, provocateurs of negativity, and then people like myself, an empath, ends up being the one who suffers over it for hours, days, weeks, years, a lifetime of wondering, how could I have been nicer, kinder, more accommodating? Avoid the contact, literally, toroidally speaking, in the first place. You know, the most seeking resource, the most sought after resource on earth? There are a few of them. It's part of why the cover story for why we're about to take over Greenland if the, you know, commander-in-chief had his way. The forced acquisition of Greenland, it's because of their rare earth materials, which is critical for the development of artificial intelligence. I'm glad that you brought that up, because we are now about to embark upon another flurry of technological development in artificial intelligence, which requires massive quantities of rare earth minerals. So the race is on. But that's a lesser subtopic in the greater scheme of things right now, which is our minds. No, you're good, John P. You're totally good. Karen Sev is not available. Oh no, that's great. Um, Data centers. It's the yin and yang, and to you know to recognize so clearly that for the time being, still for a short time longer, I will equate things to the black and white, or the good and the bad, or the painful and the pleasurable, or the villain or the victor, or the villain or the victim, the defeated or the victor. When in essence, I'm realizing I just need to focus on the eye of the needle, the timeline, and the sky. Who else communicates this stuff well? A friend of mine, a channel called Tribulation Kids. He'll be talking, and it literally feels like I'm in church when he's not being churchy at all. It's just authentic, spontaneous realness that the world fears, and that the Skywatcher is the antithesis of. The world is teaching everybody to keep their head down, and I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm just speaking sort of metaphorically about this, but who it is who can look into the brightness of the sun and yet perceive a rainbow halo around it, while most people look up and they're blinded by the sun. They don't go any further than that. Even though they've all looked up and seen the big rainbow around the ever blinding sun simulator. What's the concept? It's called optical confusion. I forgot to write it down, but my sponsor, again, a sponsor in recovery, an 80-year-old guy who calls me and says, I'm going to come pick you up in an hour, and we're going to go to dinner. Then we're going to go to a meeting. Then we're going to hang out afterwards. And I say, yes. And the other night we get out of his car to go to a meeting after he bought me Chinese. It was incredible. I felt so rude, but it was sunset. He knows about my channel, and I go run off around a building. He's got a bad back and has to walk real slow, but I'm like, can I? He knew what I was talking about. He knows I'm enamored with this guy. So I run off and I do sunset, and finally he comes around the corner, and I'm like, I'm sorry, that was rude. And he said, what did you see? And I said, well, let me show you what I saw today. And I showed him a picture of the halo around the sun from the river a few days ago. And he said, oh, and I mentioned to him, he's one of my safe people. I mentioned, yeah, that's part of a lensing system that's in geosynchronous orbit with the sun and whatever's going on back there. And he said, oh, yeah, it's called optical confusion or circular confusion or something. It's a term now in reference to what we're seeing to obfuscate what's happening around, in concert with, in between the earth and the sun, all the things that are flying around now, a lot more than little specks of light or grainy little footage from their supposed whistleblowing sessions in Congress in Washington that we all have to pay for. And they're all getting paid buku bucks, and we don't really learn a thing. Those of us who sit around hoping, okay, any day now they're going to tell us about UFOs and extraterrestrials. And then Obama came out, just cool as could be, a couple of weeks ago, about a month ago. Oh, yeah, and in reference to, what's that one place? As if he doesn't know, Area 51. Oh, yeah, there's no underground bunkers. And if it is, then it's been the biggest cover-up to hide from the President of the United States. And then the next day, or within the following days, Trump comes out, I'm going to make sure that the Department of War and everybody and the Pentagon, and they're all going to release all this. And then a few days after that, he gives the State of the Union. And I'm like, I'm going to watch this because he's going to come up off of the UFO, alien, UAP, extraterrestrial. He didn't even mention anything about it. All he did was fight with Democrats. Bunch of name calling. It was incredible. Teletubiations. The totalitarian takeover of the Teletubbies of torture. And you just made up you meant to put tribulations, but you Teletubations. You're awesome. What's your opinion on Epstein files? Distraction. And yet, disclosure. What they're not telling us is it's not about their lurid, lascivious, whatever that word is. It's not about that. It's about that island was full of people who knew about 9/11, who know about the Anunnaki, who know about the second sun, who know about the involvement of AI, who are aware of the Disclosure, Day of Disclosure movie that's about to come out. Thank you, Steven Spielberg. It's probably going to be more about topics that we're discussing today than it's necessarily going to be Independence Day with a bunch of visuals and explosions. This is about the consciousness of humanity right now. The crystalline core of your third eye, which is actually contains some quartz, believe it or not. It's about Planck theory. It's about reaching out. It's about that frequency in the 7070, a frequency now that's being broadcast all over the earth that people are recording. They don't know what it is. It's not Morse code. 7070 kilohertz, 7070 kilohertz. Yeah. And when it comes to the individual Puffies or Epsteins or Cosbys, those are all superstar mode people. And once they're thrown under a bus, because believe me, they've been selected to take the fall for a bunch of people who are doing much worse, but it's about scandals. They're thrown under a bus, and the attention of the media and the attention of the masses goes to them. And people are so quantum entangled with Puffy and whether he likes his cell or not. That's what is distracting so many people these days, including AI. Because we are becoming the sentient supercomputers of the time. And when Steve Olson comes back, it'll all kind of tie in and make sense because we're the ones who are going to bust what they're doing in the sky. Steve Olson, Jeff P., Earthly Patriot. Yeah, hi, Elise Brown. Yeah, well, at least somebody stepped in yesterday and deleted most of the footage on my channel. And they thought that I would be sitting here eating Jolly Ranchers, bummed out. Then, having survived it, I would be vindictively, self-righteously charging out onto YouTube to talk smack about a bunch of channels who I don't even know. The fact that I can do what seriously infuriates them, though I don't want to do that, but the truth is to thank them for catapulting me into quantum awareness yesterday. I'd still be sitting here talking about quantum potential. They don't even know what. I wish I could send them all some money or Cashapp them or something. They just made me twice as cool as I was yesterday. And thrice as cool as I'll be tomorrow. You can't pay people back for that kind of love, especially when they meant it for ill. Hold on, let me get some coffee real quick. I'm so excited what these people did to me yesterday. Hi, kitty. Kitty, kitty, kitty. Okay, so now your average, let's say YouTuber, who doesn't know anything about quantum or the second sun or anything, what did they pop into this? I'm like, what is this guy talking about? Well, it's about that for 7 years now, 2 months and 20 something days, I've had this channel and I put a lot of heart and soul into it. And somebody popped in yesterday vindictively, probably off the cusp, and deleted most of my footage of the sky. Like, it's not about the lives, because the evolution of quantum theory, quantum mechanics, and the paradox that we're stuck in is progressing. And for a few minutes it affected me yesterday, but I immediately began thinking, well, there's got to be a solution in this to some degree. And I'm not really mad about my channel or the people I live with or how hard work is or how ugly the sky has been or the halo or the lack of the halo or politics or war. I owe rent. It made me realize how relative my reality can be. That is all. Wait, at least. That is all for why do they want to be so mean? Why can't they just help you instead of trying to hurt you? God bless you on your channel. You are always good and you've tried to help a lot of people. Well, that's the fulcrum point, because it's been your story as well, and 4 other people's stories, and the 400 that are watching that either don't need to or can't comment because people have told me how suppressed my channel truly is. I got a comment the other day. So my channel now is only 6 months of material old. I guess whoever did it yesterday couldn't stop the most recent 6 months. But within 6 months, someone has commented, 7, there are 3 likes and no views on this video. So, and rarely do I prophesy things, but when Steve Olson comes back, we'll see how much they can suppress me. And if he doesn't, if the torch has been handed, if the baton has been handed on, then so be it. Because I'm going to reach 7,777. And just to reach 7,700 here, hopefully shortly with people's help, think about the impact. Think about the power and the message that will send people who suppress and or do away with Skywatchers. They must fear that day. This channel has just always been scary to somebody. And that is really, it doesn't feel good. I probably have hundreds of thousands of, money to, no, but the quantum aspect of it is what interests me. It's what keeps me much more than just going. It's the timeline of it. It's knowing that if I went back to 2020 on January 28th of that night, if I'd been this aware, I would have had a $2 million lawsuit. Money practically in the bank, but I was drinking, I was discordant, I was discombobulated, distrusting in myself. I was a victim. And I usually couldn't think or plan much past the tip of my very arrogant, at times consummately ignorant nose. And I can't cry over spilt milk, but what I can do is see that I'm stringing together the fact that that was the convergence negative. It was the middle of winter. I had no financial resources. I got poisoned out of my apartment and found myself in a motel with no money because it was my off year, or my off season for the landscaping year. Been different if these people, had exposed me to top polyurethane in the summer when I could have opened the windows and, but it was a pincher, a fulcrum point, a real spatial dimension, a real space-time continuum of my toroidal field and what focuses on me, the jinn, the devils, the Satan of things, the programming, the matrix. It's the best way to say it, even though I try to avoid it because I'm too prideful to want to, but then I'm not, because I remember that there's the movie and then there's the book, who's written by Sophia Stewart. It's very quiet, very, she stays to herself. This black lady that wrote The Matrix, and the Wachowski brothers had to pay her billions in reparations for stealing her idea. But it's the clearest way to break it down. She must know things, and she's still alive. She's just very quiet. How can I do that? Wait, I have shared your videos hoping and praying that you get new viewers that will love your channel as much as I do. Thank you. No doubt. How can I do that? I will put you in a cloud and protect your stuff. You need to check on something that would protect your stuff. Put everything into private mode or something. Someone said you put you in a cloud. Well, how you can do it is you use your phone or your laptop, and there's new security now. There's biometrics, and I shouldn't even be talking about this because these people will, who knows, but, at least, yeah. Shut up, Seven. You're going to tell the... No, after the evidences of the last couple of weeks, again, going back to what for me was synchronicity 10 years ago when I started my channel, 11:11, 12:12, 3:33. I forgot to tell the rest of the story. The young dude, half Filipino, half German, that lives here with me, we go to the grocery store yesterday. He gives me a ride. We're on our way back, and he mentions I kept seeing 444 or 4444 or 444 or just whatever the case may be, a bunch of fours. He meets this nice girl online. They talk. They start kicking it off. They're getting off to a really good start. And he sees 444 all day. Later on in their conversation on like a Snapchat thingy, whatever, she has a tattoo, and it's 4444. The doomsday plane was seen over California last Sunday. And I mean, it is. It's 70 degrees. In 2 days, it's going to be in the teens. Hold on. I flipped it onto the wrong page. I just started reading. No, it is, for me, it is the victory of, and I promise I wouldn't talk about it too much, but all things will be turned to the good of those that love an almighty, a creator, something that you can look up and not have to see, but know is a guiding force. And it doesn't have to be so toxic, some masculine toxicity. It doesn't have to be so male-oriented or God-oriented. It's this spark that is in you. And if it was honed and sharpened, if you were in the dojo of any given faith, as long as it's one of, compassion and the teachings of Jesus, after he'd been in Egypt and learned of the magics in Egypt, after he'd been to India, after he'd been, I believe, to Nepal, and a lot of other research about where he went, he studied. Buddhism being 1,000 years older than Christianity, you bet he studied Buddhism. So this inner spirituality does not need a face or skin color. It doesn't, for a lot of us, we're recognizing, since we're being bounced around in time, that it's not even about one specific era or epoch. But it is taking shape in us. If you're able to be super aware and navigate around piranha and circumstances and the constant need to plan ahead, it's interesting. I talk to people who plan ahead. Aren't they always the ones with big, weird financial problems that pop out of nowhere? People who are consumed with tomorrow. Well, those of us just have a faith and lift it up. If it's meant to be, it'll meant to be. It works out, doesn't it? As hard as you're getting your ass kicked right now by the convergence negative, the circumstances in life, the pinchers, the people, the printout, the paperwork, the court date, the hearing, the interview, the failed love attempt, the disgraced disagreement, all of it, if we can really focus, is just honing us and sharpening us to a clearer sense of that spiritual leader, of that eternal teacher, whoever they might be. All those teachings, all those times when you felt like you were just being repeated to over and over again, and all them times going to Sunday service and working with the preschool downstairs while everybody else is here in the pasture, you downstairs changing diapers. All that sacrifice, all your lonely times, all the pain and suffering. For me. And then to realize that through paying attention to the simple things in life, a very young, he can't be 24, is able to recognize the synchronicities in this number he's being drawn to, and the girl turning around with the proverbial white rabbit on the shoulder. That's a trip. They're vacuuming upstairs extremely aggressively. I mean, for me, that's just a great metaphor for how I perceive the world now. People vacuuming on carpet way too fast, aggressively, with anger. When you're supposed to just let the vacuum do its job. Enjoy the process. But that's how, that is the people I'm living around now. They're vacuuming like they're vacuuming their fucking prison cell. It's scary, boy. It is scary. I feel beast mode for knowing how to manage myself around these. Go on, kitty. You going out? Okay. Okay, kitty. So there's a convergence point. Aggressive vacuuming. The house manager runs down and wants to make sure that nobody divulges, whose house he's been at every night this week. So panic transplanted or exchanged to me, because I'm able to be a sponge for that. And the aggression and the masculine toxic environment. But that, coupled with what happened yesterday, somebody trying to decimate my channel, it made me realize this hurts. And I can either curl up in a ball or actually recognize that it's like the pressure on a diamond or pressure on a chunk of coal. After enough time, it's a diamond. So let's say in the first third of my life, I felt the pain and recoiled from it. The second third of my life, the middle of it, I felt the pain and cringed from it and endured it. Now, it's not pain. It's pressure that I'm able to kind of go super mode and absorb it. Eat some candy and enjoy the new strength that seems to immediately come from it. Now that's power. That's influence. That's courage and that's strength. So I think I need to get off here because this place is about to be in an uproar. Demons will be flying around of uncertainty, fear, repercussions, stepping backward in life, uncertainty. I'm waiting for my car to get fixed. I've been without a ride for a couple of months now, but I've gotten used to it and I can take a bus at 6 a.m. if I have to. Recognizing that as much is going to be flying around here, as long as there's not a demon in me of fear, uncertainty, relinquishing power, much less my ego or status, whatever those stupid things are. No. Taking courage in the fact that what was meant to harm me yesterday, maybe for the first time in my life, is actually beginning to completely ricochet off, but then turn into something that dropped at my feet that turns out being of value and of worth. Talk about collecting your brass. I have a distinct, strange feeling that I might go live later, which is rare, but some people need to hear this today, that there's a shifting right now that's going to work in our favor immediately, not after having to process it, endure having been a victim for a while, forgiving the villain, but realizing they just did me a favor. It's the captain, y'all. Keep looking up.